New card. What do you think?
Get over here!
Hadouken! That man is playing Galaga.
I understood that reference.
You shall not pass! So say we all.
Ride with me?
It's adamantium tasting time, boys.
Well, make it so, number one.
All wings reporting.
And welcome to your weekly interval. This is the Best Damn Nerd Show. I am your host, microphone alchemist James Kincaid. With me tonight, lore master Timothy Childs.
Hi.
Hi, Tim. It's good to see you. It's been a minute.
Yeah. It's been like a month or something. I don't know how these episodes are spaced out.
I think I'm trying to remember if you've even been on one that's been released yet to the Nerdosphere, because maybe people think that after the Mandalorian episode that that you also were serving a longer suspension.
I have
the
no
ban
recollection
hammer.
of that. I've been avoiding you guys. Okay, I was not shunned.
I don't blame you.
As far as Tim recalls, he liked the Mandalorian and you didn't.
Yeah, that's the last thing I remember saying about it.
That's right, because we had to re-record the one of the segments. Okay, good little memory jogging there. And Hall of Fame cyber athlete Jonathan Craig, stick to the script.
I think for this episode I'm going to go with the old title, Agent of the Kirin Tor.
That's you know what? Pardon me, all the hell. You're absolutely right.
James is going to record a pickup later.
Yeah. Everyone stop down. We got to stop down. We're doing it again.
No, he'll just pull it from any other episode, dude.
Yeah, Agent of the Kirin Tor, Jonathan Craig. Man, how did I miss that one? We are going to be talking about World of Warcraft this evening on the Best Damn Nerd Show as we are recording. I'm very excited for this one. It's one that we've talked about for a long time, and I think it was at the top of most of our lists when we were deciding to do the relaunch and everything with Shadowlands coming out, but it was sort of a catch-22 because, COVID and not knowing certain details, but Shadowlands does have a release date. It's coming out later on this month, so we figured it'd be now a good time to hype up the next expansion of World of Warcraft coming out and to relive some fond World of Warcraft memories, which if you've been a long-time lover of the Best Damn Nerd Show, we have a lot of those. And I think we're going to hear some stories that probably have never been shared before on the Best Damn Nerd Show, or at least I'm going to try and cajole those out of you guys, because in getting ready for this, I just have sort of reflected back on long conversations with both of you talking about how things were and guild stories and all this drama, particularly, just thinking about sitting with Tim while you be at work or whatever, John, and Tim telling me these just crazy stories about shit that would go down in guilds and on Vent and everything.
Dude, guild drama is real.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. I would do a whole series on that. So I want to get some of those stories out there tonight for everyone to sort of chew on and just remember what World of Warcraft used to be like. You guys are still playing. Mm-hmm. I'm unfortunately not. Tim and John, you guys will try and tempt me periodically to try and rejoin, and you guys are going to get me one day. I've never not wanted to play. It's just a matter of
now look, if anyone's curious, if you played back in the day and you want to play, you're curious again, now's the time. With Shadowlands, I think if you buy it, you get a free character boost. Which you can actually hang on to because the leveling system has been revamped. You can get max level in 2 days now, maybe 8 hours of playtime, 10 hours if you're a noob, and
12 hours if you're me.
Yeah. And it's totally streamlined. So you can, it's definitely less of a commitment than it's ever been before, which is, on one hand it's great in our old age. On the other hand, it lacks some of the things that we all really loved about the game originally, so which we'll get into later on.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you said that, because there's definitely things that I want to visit here tonight on the show, and I just I don't know, man. This topic takes me right back to SF State and to your guys' apartment, so it's very nostalgic. It's like an Inception level of nostalgia right now, talking World of Warcraft with you guys. So, how did you? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Just to touch on that, what's even crazier is in the game right now. What's happening is what's her name? mean bitch.
Sylvanas.
Sylvanas killed the Lich King, which
Yeah,
blew
Bolvar.
open. Which
She did not kill the Lich King, dude.
she
The
fucking
fuck?
broke the helmet.
She killed
Yeah,
Bolvar. Or
Oh,
she broke
I guess-
Bolvar's helmet.
Oh shit, that's actually like an interesting question. Did she kill the Lich King? So, no, Bolvar is alive, but did she kill the Lich King? Is that what she did?
I think she killed, like, symbolically, she killed the Lich King. She destroyed the helmet, which basically tore our realm asunder. And
we
has
were told
opened...
very Deus Ex Machina at the end of Wrath that there always had to be a Lich King for # reasons.
Yes, there does.
And that's why this shit is happening.
That's why this
that's
is
what
a huge
John is
moment.
saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
she tore open like a rift between the realms or whatever.
She's torn open. She's basically torn the realm asunder, and now there's direct access.
Torn open Azeroth's
There's direct access from the Shadowlands to Azeroth, and the jailer has direct access to collect souls and use them to to do his bidding. And Sylvanas is working with the jailer to use these souls on her behalf. That's why she lit the world tree on fire, etc. But what's crazy is
typical
James,
privatized prisons.
What's crazy, and this
Well
this
said.
goes back to the nostalgia of everything. When you were like sleeping over at our apartment all the time in college and playing World of Warcraft at night, like I would play during the day and then I would go to bed and you would get the night shift on my account. You were playing during the height of Wrath of the Lich King.
Yeah.
And right now, as like the pre-patch event to like get us into Shadowlands, like we're doing daily quests in Ice Crown.
Yeah.
So and the sky is like ripped open, but it's like it's kind of surreal. Like it's this weird nostalgia, but it's not nostalgia in the way that like WoW Classic is offering. It's like nostalgia, but we're changing it and we're going deeper in the lore and in the game than we've ever gone before. So it's really interesting. We can get into like the whole Shadowlands of it later,
Dude,
but it's so the nostalgia of it is so crazy.
I just want to have a sleepover with you guys, you know, like have John come out in thermal underwear and just berate me, call me a motherfucker, and go back to bed.
Yeah,
as he was
John
sleepwalking.
gets dark, man. Like I remember one night, like I think you were probably in my bed, James. I was playing WoW, and John just suddenly in the doorway, and he's sleepwalking, which he would do often.
That's what he does.
And he started mumbling, like kind of like threatening things to us, and it was I was legitimately scared. I locked my door after that. And that happened more than one time.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Well, it's so funny, like, and we're gonna go into how we each got into the game and everything like that. But there was a big part of it that was, you know, my bartending days. So it'd be like I wouldn't be working every day, and when I wasn't, I would just be at your guys' house. So we'll get into that. But how did you guys get introduced to WoW? I'll talk about how you two met. But before that, like, were you playing Warcraft pre-World of Warcraft? Like, what was your sort of first familiarity with the game? Tim, we'll start with you.
Yeah. So I went to college at San Francisco State, and I had not played World of Warcraft before. That was 2006. The game came out in, I think, 2004. So I had always seen it. I'd be going to like Staples, and I would always see it on the shelves, and I always wanted to play it. But I don't think my computer could. I only had a laptop. I don't think my computer could handle it. So I went to college and a virgin, and I got a girlfriend.
And thanks to WoW, you left a virgin too.
No,
that comes into play later.
No, it does. This has a direct effect on how the effect WoW had on me when I finally did start playing it. So basically, I got a girlfriend within the first couple months of college, and she took advantage of me. She seduced me, and we had sex without a condom. And basically what happened then was that I broke up with her.
And then John was born.
These are some serious allegations that we're dropping on the show here today.
This is true. So she was basically leading me on and saying, "Oh, I'm pregnant," and all this stuff because I was trying to break up with her. I became very depressed. And I was on like the 5th floor, and I would always look out and think about like jumping. And meanwhile, my roommate was a Japanese exchange student. And he was like fucking with me low key, you know what I mean? He had like a subtle way of fucking with me. So basically I was super depressed, and I was spiraling downwards. I'd stopped eating food. I was losing weight. I stopped going to the dining hall. And then I met my next door neighbor named Omar, and Omar let me play on his computer. And what he played was World of Warcraft. And I realized I could run World of Warcraft on my laptop if I turned the settings all the way down. And so I used World of Warcraft as a way to not kill myself my freshman year of college. And because of that dependency that I had on the game, I think it kind of like, 13 years later, I think that's why I'm still playing, honestly.
Because it saved your life.
I think in a way it did, dude.
Well,
it was real. I was thinking about calling my parents and being like, hey guys, like I went to college 3 months ago and I've already gotten a girl pregnant. And like, I think WoW was the escape I needed. I stopped going to class. Basically, all I did was play World of Warcraft.
I can't believe that you graduated college, honestly.
I can't believe it either,
he majored in like reading.
But then again, we all went to a state school, so
yeah, it was. Yeah, you don't need to go to class, but it was a really, really dark time in my life.
It's going to be you.
Yeah, and World of Warcraft was the thing that sort of like kept me from killing myself in a lot of ways.
Wow, I didn't know it was going to get that heavy here in the early going. Well, it's funny. So I mean, that's not funny like at all. And I don't want anybody
it is kind of funny
to misconstrue this as I'm glad you're still extant, as it were, Mr. Childs. But it's sort of similar story. So how I first got introduced to World of Warcraft, I think probably like before even ever seeing the game was probably the Leroy Jenkins viral video. I think was probably the very first thing, which is a great sort of YouTube touchstone back when YouTube.
Which I don't
was
understand
used for
how that
kind
makes
of
any sense to people who weren't playing WoW at the time.
I think it's all for they don't understand anything except for the fact that he yells Leroy Jenkins and he runs in when he's not supposed to and just like completely torpedoes the mission. I think everybody can relate to that thing. But obviously that went crazy, viral and everything like that. But I transferred to San Francisco State as well. And my roommate at the time introduced me to World of Warcraft. And he played Horde, which is something that I only did then and would not do further. But he played Horde, so I made a Horde character, and it like was doing the free trial, and he was kind of showing me the ropes and stuff, and I was playing on my laptop, and I was like, man, like I love this game. I was like, thank you very much for showing it to me. But it's like, I just moved here from a very small town. I already don't know how to make new friends by virtue of where I grew up. So if I play this game, I will make no new friends besides you. So I politely declined at that point. Fast forward to, I think right after I graduated and got dumped by my girlfriend who had just moved to Louisiana. And I was, pretty sad panda about everything. I was hanging out with John and Tim a lot. And I remember vividly being in John's room, like, and I was being, a sad asshole and everything. And he's like, why don't you just like try playing World of Warcraft? You'll feel better. And you know what? He was right. And I came to realize that this husk of the outside, it's just what it is. It's just a shell. That the real world is in World of Warcraft, and I just got obsessed, and that spiraled into sort of resenting John for when he actually wanted to use his own computer to either play WoW himself or just participate in his own life on his own computer. But that's how I really first got into it. So my character originally was linked to your account, John. How did you get into WoW?
I just thought it was cool that there were like little orcs and humans and stuff.
Well,
no,
yeah. I mean, I don't have like a deep story about it. I think.
Well, you don't have to have deep story, but like, when did you?
I'm just messing around.
John was already a gamer though. Like
I was,
a serious gamer, so it was an easier transition.
I was like when I was in high school, I was playing competitive Counter-Strike, and my cousin who shit himself in the active video. Again, I told you this guy's gonna come up in a lot of episodes. Like many other things that he introduced me to, he started playing WoW in like the beta, and I was starting to get tired and burnt out of playing Counter-Strike competitively, so he got me into the beta, and I played a little bit. I played like a mage or something, and then when the game came out, I just switched and basically only played WoW from that point on for quite some time.
Neither of you played like just straight up Warcraft, right?
I think Tim did.
I did, yeah. I did play Warcraft in high school. So I had I had sort of, I mean, I've always been into kind of like that fantasy type realm shit, and Blizzard's always been the best at that stuff as far as like these types of games go. So I was already attracted to the type of game that it was.
Yeah.
So it was an easier transition. Like it wasn't. Yeah. So I was familiar with the world. Yeah.
And I guess that would be probably my first actual introduction too. Is I had some friends that played Warcraft, and I loved the cinematics.
Yeah.
I loved I was like, I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but I'm into it.
Totally.
I mean, Blizzard's cinematics are amazing. I think that the cinematic for WoW is like really what sold me on the game. I would say like the height of my playtime was probably, I mean, I know I played a lot like when you were staying at at our apartment, James, but like
living
I would
there,
say the height of my playtime was probably like senior year of high school and then the first 2 years of college. Like I met Tim freshman year of college, and once we met, like we were both playing a ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
But like even in high school, I was like raiding a lot and stuff, which in classic WoW and Burning Crusade, like raiding was like a serious commitment.
Yeah.
So I had it was like a job basically.
Yeah, that's
in
that's
fact,
what
like I had
told.
a job in high school, and I had to like request off certain nights a week, and I would like work weekends specifically so I could raid, which is like normally people like want weekends off so they can party or whatever, but my whole schedule was built around like raid nights.
Yeah, dude.
That is wow. Go ahead.
Can I tell a quick story? Do our listeners know who Ricky is? Like Ricky Replay?
Some of them do for sure. TennoMedia's Ricky Replay.
So we dated in college, and I got Ricky Replay into
World
of Warcraft.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's not the point of the story, though. The point of the story, to play off what John said about asking for time off from work, she I was dropping her off one night at her apartment, and she wanted to hang out, and John was texting me. He's like, "Dude, I've got an Onyxia raid right now. I've got a spot for you, but you got to get here right now." And he's texting me this as I'm dropping her off, and I was like, "Yeah," and I just told her, I told her the situation because I've always been a believer that honesty is the best. I just think honesty is the best policy, and why lie and create subterfuge when I can just be honest? And that that's not why we broke up, but I mean that didn't help the relationship.
I mean, it's Onyxia, dude.
Yeah.
So
what does she expect?
I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to try and get it out of you if you weren't going to offer it willingly, and that is the fact because I'll never I remember vividly how Ricky told the story, and probably still I actually texted her. I didn't hear back from her in time because I wanted to get verbatim how she told the story again. But I remember her being like, "Yeah, Tim left me last night and ended our date early because he had to go kill a dragon."
That's not just a dragon, dude. There's a lot of dragons in the game.
She's the brood mother.
She only resets once per week.
She's the brood mother.
By the way, one other note about that. So I did get her to play World of Warcraft. She leveled the Death Knight, which is the easiest class level because it starts at 55. Irregardless, for Christmas that year, I've always been a bad gift giver or a really good one, depending on how you look at it. I got her. Blizzard had started offering World of Warcraft posters of your character. So
I think is still awesome, by the way.
Yeah, so her character was like a Death Knight gnome, so I got a poster of it, and I thought that was a great gift. I don't know, but
shout out Giles. Was it a birthday gift or an anniversary gift?
No, it was a Christmas gift.
Oh, Christmas gift.
Yeah.
Was that all you got her?
Yeah, that was dude, it was $35, and I was like, what am I gonna do? I'm not.
Was it framed?
Should I have gotten a candle too? What are you gonna do?
I mean, I definitely wish I had one of those for Kincadius. I don't know if they're still offering that anymore, but I also can't find my character on there. But those are actually both two stories that I was hoping you would share, Tim. So you're 2 for 2 so far.
Awesome.
We're gonna take a quick break. On the other side, we're gonna share more World of Warcraft stories as we prepare for the Shadowlands expansion, and more on the other side on the Best Damn Nerd Show.
Hey everyone, Chris Eglia here, CEO of the TennoMedia Network. I would like to say thank you for checking out one of our podcasts, but we need your help. You can support Tenno in a multitude of ways. by going to our website and checking out our latest podcasts, by buying some sweet merch, joining our Discord, or getting early and exclusive access to all content via our Patreon. Your support means the world to us, and you can find everything on our website, www.10-o.gg. That's ten-o.gg. Thank you again, and now, back to the show.
It's me, Iron Nerd Min-Maxer, Hanzo Gonzo, inviting you into the 10-o Media Arena to see whose nerdiness will reign we're gonna get sued if you will triumph a lotly. Come check out all the battles on the 10-o Media Network Patreon, or you can just skip to the parts where Steve physically breaks something for no reason. See you there.
It's the microphone alchemist Bimbo Jimbo here, of course, formerly the Jedi Master, and we are so happy to be back delivering to you the nerdy content that you need to make it through your Muggle work week. And we want to hear from you, Nerdosphere, so be sure to subscribe, rate, and review us on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Zunes, or other non-name brand MP3 playing devices everywhere, or however you consume your weekly interval. Whether you agree with me that The Last Jedi was a crime against Star Wars, or that you think that my hosting warrants being mauled by a bear, leave us a 5-star review, make us laugh, smile, or cry in that review, and there is a good chance that you will hear it read on a future episode of the Best Damn Nerd Show. So be sure to rate and review us. It's the best way that you can help the BDNS keep saying it loud and proud for years to come. It's the microphone alchemist Bimbo Jimbo here, and when I'm not verbally super kicking Last Jedi fans on the Best Damn Nerd Show, or fantasy casting The Rock in another movie on the DLC, well, that's when I actually get to talk about wrestling. That's right, come join me in the Wrestling War Room, where I take my mic to the mat and launch my hot takes about the Wednesday night war between AEW and NXT. The Wrestling War Room, which side are you on? Welcome back to the Best Damn Nerd Show. James Kincaid here with John Craig, Tim Childs, as we are talking World of Warcraft and reliving old WoW stories, and we were talking during the break. Go ahead, John.
Can I just say, like, I know how it sounds, okay? Based on that story of Tim abandoning his girlfriend to play World of Warcraft with me, I know how it sounds. I want to say, like, while I may have been a bad influence at the time on both Tim and you, James, and for some of the decisions that you guys have made, I've grown, and I feel like I would hope that I've become a better influence on people's lives since then. I do have some regrets, you know, I'm not going to lie.
I think Tim would make the exact same decision right now.
Yeah,
I think he would, and I mean, you know, we were talking during the break about when you're really into World of Warcraft, the priority WoW comes first. You know, it's the priority. They're definitely. It got me through so many shifts at work because when I wasn't playing WoW at that time, because I'm a very lore oriented, I was just thinking about either playing WoW, reading about WoW. I think it's just like it was consuming.
Like so much time has passed. And the game has been forgotten about by a lot of people and put on the shelf by a lot of people because there's newer, flashier games that have more players and all that stuff. You know, Fortnite is the new WoW in a sense. But like when WoW was at its prime in those first 3 expansions and even into Cataclysm to an extent, it was the best game ever made. Undeniably the best game ever made. Like it was like truly open world. You could fly in it, which was revolutionary.
It blew my mind. The whole game, like, dude, it blew my mind.
Everything about the game was ridiculous and was good. Like compared to other games that were out at the time, and even other like MMOs that were out at the time.
Oh yeah, no comparison.
No one could compare, and people have even tried since then. Haters have tried to step to World of Warcraft, and they can't. Guild Wars had 2 games to attempt it. They couldn't do it. Black Desert Online, fucking trash. All these Final Fantasy
Star
Online
Wars,
games
the
that
Old
have come
Republic.
out, trash. Like all this dog shit comes out year after year, and it cannot compete with World of Warcraft. Even today, at its nowhere near its height. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they're just hanging on to what, like 1 million, 2 million subscribers. Like
Yeah, which is like crazy for how long it's been out.
it's ridiculous. But
Yeah.
like
where
back
were
then,
they when they were at their height? Were they at like 8 mil?
No,
Like 12 million.
12 or 13 million.
12
Yeah.
13.
Which again, like, look, it's nothing compared to like game releases now, but like that's active monthly subscribers.
Well, I remember one of the things that kept me from the game, you know, in the early going, even before I knew you guys, is like you have to pay every month to play this game that I have to
and imagine,
also just buy.
I think, what was
but
the fee then? Like $10?
I think it was 15, maybe 14 or something like
no,
that.
It's 15 now. It was like
13
10 or 11
maybe.
for a
I
while.
thought it was
Okay.
10.
And then
yeah.
they
they're
bumped
raking
it.
in $120 million a month. That's how
Yeah.
good that motherfucking game is.
Well, and
Call
I
of
remember
Duty.
how I would come to
try putting up those numbers.
Yeah, came to justify it was like
Bitch.
living in San Francisco. I was like, that's the price of one drink in San Francisco, and that doesn't even get me drunk.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
like
And
for that
also-
price, I have a whole month of
And also like
debaucherous fun.
the amount of content in it compared to games that people like pay $60 for was ridiculous. Granted, I know that you basically need to buy an expansion every 2 years, and then you need to pay your monthly fee, which is like, another 120. Well, now it's more, but like you're still buying essentially a game every 4 months. But like
Yeah.
the amount of content in it has always been ridiculous.
It's that, and it's also, I feel like it's the intangibles as well. It's kind of making you have like a personal connection with your character. It's funny because like the way that happens, it happens in a lot of games, but World of Warcraft really makes you feel like you earn it, and you are like you have a connection with this character, and it's it's the smoothness of the gameplay, and it's it's the vastness of the world, and it's having to make the run from the wetlands up to Ironforge or through the blasted lands, and like you do like it's like you earn along the way, you're like earning your character's progress, and you're putting the time in, and so the in reward feels so much more like it's you just can't put this character away. You just can't like let them
part
go.
of you. It's part of you.
It is
like it's similar to the Dungeons and Dragons experience, but it is you put in, you could discern the number of hours. And I remember you used to show me the number of hours that you had played or logged on Cianon or what have you. And it's like you were proud of it, and you should be. That was an investment of not just your money, but of your time and your passion for this game. And like you two played at a very high level also, and so like you guys got to experience like some really cool top end stuff, and you were also getting to experience it at a different sort of time period in the game than I necessarily did, because I feel like a lot of the stuff that a lot of my favorite stories that you guys have told me happened like pre-Wrath. And I want to get into all of that, but first, maybe it's one of the most famous stories in the history of the Best Damn Nerd Show. It's been told in passing a couple of times, I think, even in our reboot episode, but I want to hear again in detail how you and John met one another. Tim?
Am I telling it? Like, I feel like you could tell it better, John.
For context, maybe you should tell it this time, James. For context, though, Tim did tell this story as best man at my wedding.
Yeah, can we just roll that footage?
I ran it by you though. I texted you and I said, "Can I bring up World of Warcraft in my speech?"
It was fine. But
why not? I mean, it's how you guys met, legitimately.
Yeah, but
you guys met because of World of Warcraft, which and you two are best friends.
Yeah,
like everybody,
it's
like roll that back again real quick. You two met because of World of Warcraft, and you are still currently best friends to this day. It's an incredible, it's an incredible bromance story. It's I don't know. It's just like it's amazing how did that freaking happen? It's crazy.
It is crazy to think about.
It is the Dr. Manhattan watching, air turn into gold miracle kind of thing.
It's
like
crazy.
I don't think we need to go into like all the details of it. I'll just say like the statistic likelihood of it happening was very low, because I don't know, for people listening, you may or may not have experience with World of Warcraft. Like for the last, I don't even know, like 10 years, you've had a like looking for group feature in the game where you can like just queue up, and then as soon as 5 players are ready to play, you can just enter a dungeon with like 4 other random people from different servers around the world. But in Burning Crusade, when Tim and I met, there was no looking for group feature. So in order for you to like run a dungeon, you had to like sit in trade chat in a major city and be like, hey, you fucking idiots, I need to run whatever, like list off the dungeon, because you're looking for like some super specific item, and you wait and you keep spamming your message until you, like 45 minutes later, you've gotten 4 other guys, and then you head over to the dungeon and you get as far as you can until someone rage quits, or in my case,
you have to head over to the dungeon, right? You're not porting over there, or...
right? You're not like instantly teleported into it until someone either rage quits, you guys finish, or in the instance like what happened in our group, like someone has to go to class, which is exactly what happened.
So this is how I remember it being told to me after the fact, which still blows my mind. So like you two ended up in the same group running a dungeon.
Yeah, the Botanica.
Yeah, and
Tempest
and you two weren't normally the type to like / whisper, other players or whatever, but
definitely. Well, no, I would whisper people, but only to like talk shit to them.
Yeah, I think it's the point.
That
is
sounds
not
on
common.
brand.
Yeah, you don't share personal information generally on an MMO. Like I played with people for years and I never knew their real name. You know what I mean? I never ever knew their real name. I never knew who they were, where they lived, none of that. And so that's what I think makes this unique in a way. But continue.
I mean, so you guys were running that dungeon, and you happened to start talking, through private chat or whatever, and like the fact that you started sharing this personal information. It's like, oh, I have to log off soon, I have to go to class, and it's like, oh, where do you go to college? It's like San Francisco, or go to college in San Francisco. Same college, and the fact that you live like 2 doors down from one another or something crazy.
No, different buildings.
Different buildings. Okay.
Yeah. But we were both in freshman year, and so we like added each other as friends, and then at a certain point we like got together and got lunch for the first time. But like the likelihood of that happening, just like
infinitesimal, especially that's peak WoW.
Yeah, essentially
12 million subscribers. You two come together.
Yeah, 12 million subscribers, all divided up on a couple hundred servers.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Yeah, you had to be on the same server,
and you had to be on the same faction, Hoarder Alliance.
Yeah,
and
it's crazy to think about, dude. Like I think about sometimes like what my life would be if I had never been in that group that day. Like my career is because of John. Like John got me my first job in television. I don't know even what my life would look like if I had never met him. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to like 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 you make choices in life, and then things just happen, and you're kind of making choices, but you're also really not aware of the choices you're making. Like me being honest to him, or him being honest to me, saying I go to here, or I go to this school, or I'm this person. Like one person says the wrong thing, and that never happens. And so
it is the butterfly effect on display.
Yeah, dude, it's
and the
totally
chance of
crazy.
me calling him like an expletive and just like rage quitting the group at that time was like 90%.
Extremely high.
Yeah. I was a hothead.
Yeah.
Well, but it's just one of those like meant to be things, and like you said, like the what your life would look like, and Tim would be the best man at John's wedding, and John wouldn't reciprocate that honor to John, or Tim wouldn't reciprocate that honor to John. But that's
still heard about that, but we'll let it go
that's okay.
All right.
Had to throw that one in there.
So like to kind of put a cap on the story, or at least kind of move it forward. Like Tim and I meet for lunch, and I wouldn't say that we had any like chemistry the first time like we met for lunch. Like I think
first dates are hard.
Yeah, we like met for lunch in the dining hall, and then like I don't think we talked again for a while after that.
I remember this. I remember your girlfriend at the time dropped you off. She like walked you up to me, and I met her and I met you at the same time. So she like dropped you. I remember that. And then we like.
Do you think John had like a separate conversation that he's like, I don't want him to get the wrong idea about what this meetup is?
Well,
no.
It wasn't like that. I will say though, as far as like the chemistry thing, like I mentioned earlier, I was brought into the game by my neighbor Omar. So he was the guy at that time that I was basically hanging out with. He was my next door neighbor, and we would, we were playing World of Warcraft together. And now John is kind of this random rogue guy that I met on the outside.
Like an actual rogue, or
no, he was a hunter.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was just like I had Omar, but Omar also was fucking weird. And so, after a little while, so John and I just started talking more and more throughout, like in the game, and we like would have nights where he would come over and we would play like Super Smash Brothers or something, and we got to know each other.
Forgot about that.
Like, so essentially what happened, like we weren't even that close until we decided me and Omar would move in together that next year.
And I gotta say, like Tim's like roommate troubles, like he was thrust into that like right away, right? Like Tim's drama with roommates in college happened right away. Like my entry into college was actually cool because I liked San Francisco State. My roommate at the time was this like sweet, like well-to-do kid from Sacramento, like on the righteous path in life. And then I meet Tim and I'm like, I'm good. Like I'm gonna make friends through my cool roommate or whatever. And then like after, I would say like somewhere around Christmas that year, like he started to take like kind of a dark turn. And I don't know what I don't know what happened in his life.
I've heard this story.
I don't know what like happened in his life personally, but he started it started with a money clip. So he started like listening to a lot of like hip hop in our little like 2-man dorm, and then he started like he got rid of his wallet and got a money clip and like came in one day and like showed me all of his money that he had, and I was like, all right, cool. And then he started like selling weed and calling himself the boss. So he referred to himself as a boss and the boss all the time, and he was selling weed out of our dorm. And I'm like fucking playing World of Warcraft while this guy's doing like illegal drug transactions in our fucking dorm. And then at a certain point, and I think this was like the tipping point for me where I was like, I need to not have a random roommate next year, was the dude bought like a ID printer online because he wanted to start like a fake ID business. Cause like,
nice.
when you're in the weed business, like you might as well, you got to expand your revenue streams. So he bought a fake ID printer and he printed an ID out on it, and he was like super proud of himself. And then I came home from class one day and he's like, dude, like I'm the boss, like check out this fucking ID I printed out. And he showed me the ID and he had bought like a school ID printer. So it was like those thick ass cards, and the ink was like dry. So it didn't even print in like a high quality, and it only printed one side. And I was like, dude, that doesn't look anything like a fucking ID. Like you're going to go to prison. You can't do this. And so I think like a few days later, I went to take our trash out or whatever, and like his ID printer was like in the trash can, and he had spent like all of his weed money on this thing. It was like $1,200 or something, and it ruined him. Like it ruined him financially. I think it ruined him emotionally. He dropped out after that year and took his ass back to Sacramento.
Man,
but
the boss.
yeah, I mean that for me was like a big tipping point. And all this is happening in conjunction with like Tim and I like playing WoW together more in game. Like I'm going over to his dorms, and he's in like the nerdy dorm, and they're playing like Super Smash Brothers, and they're just like a wholesome crowd. And I'm like, dude, I need this vibe. Like I can't be with the bosses anymore. Like I'm not fit to ride.
Yeah,
I'm not fit to live that lifestyle.
I lived in this science and technology themed community.
Yeah,
a bunch of fucking nerds.
Yeah. So then Tim, Omar, and I agreed to live together the following year. We didn't have a fourth because none of us were good enough at like meeting people and making friends. Yeah. So day one of living in the dorm sophomore year, Tim and I go to the grocery store, and we come back and we're hungry before playing WoW, dude. So we cooked up some quesadillas, and we burned the quesadillas and set the fire alarm off. And so we're the first dorm on campus sophomore year to have the fire department come to our dorm because we're fucking idiots.
They congratulated us.
And while the fire department is there, and granted, all we want to do is be playing WoW at this point. We don't want, like, we were just trying to make some food. While the fire department is there, fucking Chris Davis walks in, dude.
God damn.
Fucking Chris Davis.
Literally right then he walks in.
It's just like it's synchronicity, dude.
Avengers of nerddom.
There's a reason Omar is not on this podcast, dude. He was not ready for what our dorm was that year.
Well, he was the wrong kind of nerd. He had like schoolgirls and anime posters and shit like that on his walls. He was going the wrong way with it. We were like, Omar,
he was.
we were trying to bring him back in, but he was judging us from the outside. Meanwhile, he's doing something else.
Yeah. I mean, he also had a rough roll of the dice on roommates too.
Chris would like piss himself.
Chris would come back he like shit his pants at a party and like was too drunk to change. Like it was
like frequently, dude. Like every weekend there was something that would happen.
I love that. That's how you guys all got together. Like it's just I haven't really talked about this much, but I mean I think you guys are all great at this with the mic. And only John and I are the ones that went to school for broadcasting. Like it's impressive to me that you all are Tim, like you were what, an English major?
English lit,
and you're an incredible host on here, and you're so hilarious. It's just like I don't know, it's so striking to me. Davis majored in recess.
Literally PE. His degree says physical education.
And when he wasn't on a bender, he's been really good, and Mark's a beer baron and he's great. Jeff's been psychoanalyzing us from the start and doesn't like the results that he's seen, and he's phenomenal. It's just incredible.
So many stars had to align for this group of nerds to come together, and I think it starts with it starts with Tim and I meeting in WoW.
Yeah,
and not that like Tim and I created this show. I'm just saying,
but it's the first domino, though.
Yes, yeah. I mean, honestly, because like had we not met,
then you wouldn't have Davis.
We would have both gone into sophomore year without any friends. Really,
totally.
I mean, friends. You would have like people but like friends. So it's that's like what started this whole journey. And it's amazing that it's like that everyone has been able to stay friends for so long. I think everyone's gone through periods of like being busy or growing apart or taking breaks from different things, but it's crazy.
It is insane, and I will never get tired of hearing the story of how you two met, and I always feel like I learn a little bit more every time I hear it. I don't think maybe it's just been a while, but the boss had escaped my memory. So, but yeah, I love that we
clown
looped in the debut of Chris Davis, who I will spare you all the story of how I legitimately thought he was insane for the first, little bit of knowing you.
And to tie him back into the WoW story, and then, we can move on to something else if you want, but to tie him back into the WoW story, like Davis, like did not consider himself a nerd when we met. Like Davis,
he's really leaned into it more.
But he was like assistant coach of the basketball team. He had played college basketball before coming to SF State, so he was still kind of like reliving those glory days in his mind in some ways. He thought of himself the opposite of a nerd, quite literally, and really like he was in some ways. And I think it was honestly like disturbing to him, like how much World of Warcraft Tim and I would play. Which was ironic, right? Because you could walk into our dorm any time of day or night if there was no party happening or he wasn't like at practice, which like our team never practiced because they were trash. But you could walk into our dorm at any time and he would be shirtless playing either Guitar Hero or Call of Duty.
Yeah, exactly.
He might have put more hours into Call of Duty that year than we put into WoW, honestly.
Yeah.
The dude was a gamer.
Controllers.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, that is an interesting thing, and a little bit of a tease ahead is that we sort of talked about in a pre-recorded episode that will be released later on about sort of jocks versus nerds, and there is this sort of idea of like, that's too nerdy, like the stigma about World of Warcraft, but it's like, he's a gamer, but it's like because it's the type of game that it has like sort of a different connotation to it, and I do think that was sort of like maybe a barrier of entry for certain people. Is I think a lot of people maybe not so much anymore, but when they hear World of Warcraft, I think for a long time they thought, oh, like that's Dungeons and Dragons. Like I'm not gonna
it's
play
like the sword and
that
shield
thing.
fantasy that really turns
which
a lot of
I
people
love,
off.
but I think that it was like it's like a Rubicon that like man, once you cross, like there's no coming back from that kind of deal, you know. But God, I just classic Davis stuff, man. I want to talk about some more World of Warcraft war stories through the years. First of all, let's do a quick little roll call. Your mains, your alts, your favorite WoW characters that you've had over the years. I've had essentially one. I've had a couple of alts, not of any renown, but Kincadius, my guy, Ret Paladin, represent. We'll get into him more a little bit later as you guys crap on me, I'm sure. But Tim, Sionin, the greatest WoW character ever. Yes.
I was just about to say I don't want to like jump the gun as far as like shooting on you goes, but the second you said you played Ret Paladin, I was gonna say, what do you mean like played Ret Paladin? I mean you had a Ret Paladin, but you couldn't compete with it. You enter a battleground and you're not gonna kill anyone, James. You're not. But yeah, I mean my first character was my Night Elf Druid Sionin. I got him to level 60 in Classic. I played him for a while. Well, he was a guy back then. I sex changed once that became available in Burning Crusade.
Couldn't even tell when I got there.
No,
I had no idea.
Dude,
those damn druids.
Yeah, I mean, as I discovered, one of the important things about your character is the way that they run, and Night Elf females run way better than Night Elf males. Dude, you have to sit behind this thing and just watch it run. Like that's your experience as the player in this game. And
they also just look cooler in armor too.
They do. It's something else I've noticed about gnomes as well, which is that female gnomes run better than male gnomes. Male gnomes have like a weird gait, whereas female gnomes have like a very natural lope, and it really has an effect on you playing the characters. You're like, why is my character running like a fucking, like he's been sitting on a horse for 10 hours. So I got that druid to level 60 cap. The next character I leveled was a mage that was at level 70. And as of right now, we're back down to level 60, but let's say 120 for BFA. I have a max of every class, but my main is my mage.
Jeez, what?
Yeah. It's not, dude, there's only like 12 of them.
It's been like 14 years.
Yeah, it's really not impressive. I don't say that. Yeah, I don't say that to be impressive. I just do.
With some expansions, when you buy them, they give you like character boosts too.
Yeah, exactly. Some of those are that for sure. Like I have a shaman and something else.
I didn't know you had a max of every class, because one of the fun things logging on to your account back in the day was like names that you just would have reserved just in case that you ever wanted to like use it. Like, hey, when this is playable, I'm gonna have like Mr. Werewolf here.
Dude, that's part. I remember that. That's part of the game, though. I mean, you got to reserve names.
Yeah,
that's it though. I mean, my main is my mage. I don't actually play my druid anymore.
What's your mage's name?
Mage. My alt that I play is my warrior. Those are really, I play mage and warrior essentially. Now.
What's the mage's name?
Actually, I changed it. It used to be Galaxis. It's now Galaxy Man because I realized that was available, and I kind of love that as a name, oddly. So I'm now Galaxy Man. I have Galaxis as a priest now, and my warrior is Triton because I used to raid with a warrior named Triton. And he was this like Texan. He had like this Texan drawl, and he would call dragons birds. And he was like our main tank. And I just thought he was really good. He was like renowned on the server, and he was like always to me the quintessential warrior. So when I realized that the name they did a
look
name
at that
reset.
Homage.
The what?
I said you're giving an homage to a former player.
Dude, he was cool, man. He's one of those guys that was like OG. Like people knew who Triton was, And the name Triton is so like. What a warrior name. I mean, name a more warrior-ish name besides like Violento or something like that, or like Violent, something like that. But like Triton was like the man. And so when I got the name Triton, I was like, this is my alt. And so, yeah, those are my two that I play really.
What's Sionin doing?
Sionin is now named Rarf. My character named Sionin, I do have a character named Sionin, but it's a demon hunter, and it is a night elf. But Rarf is my druid now.
James is so disappointed.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, because Sionin and Kincadius had just an amazing love affair and relationship, and they got married in the game.
Very one-sided love.
It was
affair.
It was never reciprocated.
It was always reciprocated.
No,
And
I
it was
consider it to be
beautiful.
more reciprocated.
It was like
when
Arwen. It
Siana
was like
became a
Arwen and
Tauren.
Aragorn. You know, like elf and human. It was beautiful.
It wasn't really
John,
like that.
who are your characters?
Dude, I honestly have trouble remembering like the journey in the early days. I raided in Vanilla WoW with a druid, a female night elf druid, and then I think my first character ever though was a night elf hunter, and I think I got him to 60, and then I was like, I want to try something else, and then I leveled a druid, and then finally got to like the point where I raided, and then in Burning Crusade, I think I played Horde at the beginning of it. And I was playing, oh yeah, I did, because I wanted to play like a Blood Elf Paladin. So I made a Blood Elf Paladin named Jessel. I raided on that character, and then some guild drama went down. So I quit.
Wait, stop you right there. What guild drama went down?
I mean, at the time, I think there was only ever one kind of guild drama, which was, women.
Okay, so what happened?
I was a healer, and
you were laying on hands inappropriately.
in my guild, okay, this is not a generalization, I'm just saying in my one raiding guild, there were a couple female players. They all played healers, and I was in a progression raiding guild, and in a progression raiding guild, it's really, really important to distribute
heals.
Well, just like high level of play is important, but it's also important to like distribute items based on skill level and merit, because that's what allows you to progress further faster. But my guild master and the loot council distributed loot based on the likeliness that it would get them laid from some girl that didn't live in the same state as them. Yeah. So
what was your guild master's name?
I don't even remember people's names, to be honest with you. But like we were progression rating. I mean, at the time it was like Serpentine Cavern. It wasn't even like crazy, but like I was always the top of the healing charts. There were other people that played the same class that were at the bottom of the healing charts, like below every other class, which is ridiculous because Paladin, you could just idle and be at the top of the charts unless you just have no brain at all. But those people were rewarded with gear like consistently, and we didn't have like a loot system that where you would like earn points and turn them in for gear. It was all based on like loot council deciding where it all goes, and I thought it was bullshit. So I put up a stink, and then it didn't work out, and then I just stopped playing that character, just abandoned it.
Now, when you say put up a stink, what does that look like?
I probably did what I normally would do at the time, which is like finally complain enough privately and publicly in guild chat. I would just talk shit like constantly in raid chat, guild chat, whispers, everything. I probably talked enough shit where like something important did drop and they gave it to me, and then I just like quit the guild mid raid and hearthed out of there. Yeah, that sounds like a classic move that I would do. I think I did that several times in my raiding career.
Nice.
I did ninja loot some stuff like in vanilla, but like in Burning Crusade, I was a little bit more like refined.
Now, for the people that aren't super familiar with WoW, just what is ninja looting?
Ninja looting is like when you make yourself loot master and something drops, and then you just like give it to yourself and fucking leave the raid. Yeah, I did that. I also like one thing that got my druid in a lot of trouble in vanilla was like I raided with the same guild for like months and saved up all these DKP points, which is like essentially currency for like every time you kill a boss, you get a certain amount of DKP awarded to you, and you also would get them for like showing up on time, having buffs, like doing all the things that you're supposed to do would get you DKP. So for months and months and months, I would like save my DKP, like waiting for the right items. And then we had one night where just like a ton of shit for druid dropped, and I had a ton of DKP. So I dropped like all my points in one night. I got like 4 items in one night. It was crazy because we did like Molten Core and then just went right over to Blackwing Lair. And after getting like my 4th item and spending all my DKP, I was like, fuck that. I'm not staying here for another 3 months and like building back up. So I just like quit the raid, quit the guild, fucking left and joined another guild and started with them. And I was geared to hell. So that guild was like, fuck yeah, we'll take a geared druid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hot free agent.
I was just tired of their shit, man.
Yep.
Which is such a dirtbag move because I just took like four items that like really could have helped them progress through like Encourage when that opened up, but fuck them, dude.
Fuck them. It's
Well,
your DKP.
It's my DKP, yeah.
Did you have a guild though, John, that you considered home for a while? Like, did you ever have a guild that you were really attached to?
Yes.
Because I know Tim did, and I want to get into that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would say the second guild I joined when we were raiding, when we were finishing up Blackwing Lair and we were doing AQ 40, that's when I really felt like at home with a guild. Like we were, because we would like,
do you remember the guild
raid.
name?
We would hardcore raid. I don't even remember the name. It was like Seraphim or something, but we would like hardcore raid and then like one night a week and progress pretty far. Like we were pretty far in terms of like North American guilds. And then like the other 6 nights a week, we would like push people to rank 14 in PvP, which is pretty crazy too. So like, I really enjoyed that guild because of the balance of raiding and also like high level PvP. And at the time I was a druid, which was a great class for pushing PvP because you were a flag runner in Warsong Gulch, and it's just a fun like position to be in when you're like playing rated, you know, not rated battlegrounds at the time, but like when you're doing like organized PvP groups. So yeah, I would say that was like my favorite guild, my favorite time in WoW, in WoW, like trying to be a good player at least.
Tim, now I am back at the McDonald's near your apartment hearing stories of, I believe his name was Toady or something like that.
Yeah, Toady. He was a guild master.
Guild master for a guild that you called
Vendetta.
home for Vendetta.
Yeah.
Tell me about the
Tim was very
tale
loyal to Vendetta.
Yeah, this
I
is
was
so
very loyal.
Yeah, tell me that. Weave me a tale of Vendetta and what went awry.
I don't even like. I mean, I remember, but I don't really remember like what I told you back then that was like going wrong. I mean, I remember all the details. I guess you can help me fill in the blanks a little bit, but yeah, basically like I leveled to level 60. I played for about 6 months. Then when level 70 came out, by that time I was very serious about the game and I was ready to like raid. And I had a high school friend that I found out also had played World of Warcraft and was on my server just by chance. And he had stopped playing at that point, but he knew people still that were in this guild Vendetta that was like the number 2 or 3 guild on the server. And so I basically name dropped him and that got me into the guild. And from there, I had no experience raiding. And, you know, they were a supportive, but a very like competitive guild that raided like 4 or 5 nights a week and for hours and hours and would just push it as far as we could every single night. You know, I think like one of the things about Vendetta that I liked is that it wasn't some of the other guilds like Blue Moon or like Lost Anarchy was on that. Lost Anarchy was always number 1 on Ner'zhul, and they were actually like a top 10 guild in the US for a while. They were really good, but they were also like the impression you would get was that they're arrogant and kind of like elitist. And one of the things I liked about Vendetta is that you have good players, but they're also supportive and they're trying to prop you up. And it was more of a family. It felt like a family. It felt like everyone, you knew who people were. Everyone was just on Ventrilo talking every single day. Like I was literally on Vent like just for hours every single day, even when we weren't raiding, just talking to those people. Like they really, and like I said earlier, I don't even know these people's names. I know their characters' names, and like I know when someone talks, it's like, oh, that's like, you know, that's Guberman talking or whatever, whoever it is. And so you really got to know these people as their characters. And yeah, and it really created a sense of like loyalty and like, and so as you progress through the content, you know, you play better together and you progress faster and faster. And so we got to a point where we were really doing well. And you know, like with John, it was women that tore the guild apart, and I don't want to like put it. It's not on the shoulders of women, right? It's not their fault.
I would say it's more the behavior of men in the presence of women.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, drama between men and women is tale as old as time. You know, it's very common. It's just funny that it's able to infiltrate a video game.
It's not their fault.
But human frailty is the culprit here, and desire and all that stuff. It's just it is intriguing to me that it could even infiltrate something like World of Warcraft. And as you just said, like the names you just threw out, I remember you saying those names before, and like the fact that you say it feels like a family, and then undone by. Go ahead.
Well,
Tim.
I don't want to say it's all women in every guild, right? Because for a long time we raided with...
I put more on Toady than I do anybody else.
Well, yeah, it was... Well, Toady, I mean, at the time, I felt like he was a great leader. He really was. He was always very well prepared. He was always very aware of what everyone was doing. And he strategy-wise, he always had a really sound strategy. And as long as people executed his strategy, we killed the boss. And we raided for a long time with a girl named Moondria, who was she was a night elf priest, and she did not create drama. Moondria was there. Like, she did not want gear that wasn't hers to earn. Everything was fine until Faust came, and Faust was another night elf priest.
That was the name.
Yeah, and Faust suddenly started getting gear from Toady, and it when things like that happen, like John referenced it. So World of Warcraft is about a lot of things, but what it's mostly about for people, especially that are trying to play on the high end, is gear and getting the best gear that you can have. Especially like nowadays, it's much less of a thing. Like maybe in Mythic Guild it's still a thing, but back then you had one lockout and you would raid, and there would be like 2 pieces that drop per boss, and maybe you would go for like a month without getting anything. And when you finally get a piece of gear, it feels like really good. It feels really good, and you see a difference in your play. And when someone comes in randomly to the guild and they happen to be a girl and they happen to be spending time with the guild master, and that person just starts getting funneled gear, it creates resentment, And so yeah, it creates like a divide.
How about when
the
they get dropped down to private vent chats?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was going to reference that too. Yeah, you see Toady and Faust talking in vent, and you're like, it's not like jealous, but it's more like you can't really believe what you're seeing, because like here's this guy that you had essentially you put your faith in him to lead the guild, and like at this level, I mean, it's not like we were like a crazy high level, but like we were pushing stuff pretty hard.
You guys were pretty try hard, I would say.
Yeah, we were going hard, and when you see something like that start to happen, you start to lose faith in the leadership, and you start to doubt the entire like institution. And that's basically my falling out from Vendetta. Was that like I stuck with the guild through, I think
it's the whole plot of Red Dead Redemption 2, by the way, that you just laid out. But continue,
exactly. Yeah. But I mean, I stuck through, we were pushing content hard through, like when Kale Thos was released, we were like one of the first guilds to take him down. I remember that night. John probably remembers that night. I stood up and was like pounding the wall and screaming because we had like been attempting him so many times, just hours and hours put into that guy.
Yeah.
But that was already starting to happen at that point. And so, yeah, we took him down, and I faded to the background after that in the guild. I stopped kind of showing, I kind of ghosted the raids in a lot of ways. And I at the same time, I was leaning much more into like PvP and arena, because it was kind of like a new thing at level 70 that I hadn't really done before. Mm-hmm. So I was doing some 2v2 with this rogue in my guild, and I was just fucking loving that. But that was also very time consuming and a very different style of play than raiding. And, yeah, and so and in that scenario, it's just you relying on someone else. So you don't have to. It's not you relying on this guy to do what you hope he's going to, be the guy that he needs to be to lead the guild to the place it needs to go. When you start to see the tears in the fabric, and 25 people are affected, it's much easier to kind of just like fade away and kind of just rely on someone else. Go ahead.
I think it's important to say, like, it's not, I know like both of our stories have like women attached to them, but it's really not like a man-woman thing. That's one like folly. That's one trap that like a guild leader could fall into, but they could also just be doing it with like their friends. You know what I mean? Like their real life friends.
Yeah. Nepotism.
It's unacceptable either way. The thing about World of Warcraft at that level is everything is based on data. Like when you're raiding at the highest level, every single person in the group has very, very detailed damage meters and healing meters. So like what benchmarks people should hit. And of course, like certain classes are going to be out healing other classes. Or just in terms of raw healing. Certain classes are going to be out damaging other classes in terms of raw damage, but you still know what every benchmark every class should hit,
how you should be performing
at that level. Every piece, every gear item that every player in your guild has, so what numbers they should be hitting based on where they're at. And it's not just about healing either. It's like, how many decurses are you throwing out in a fight? How many times are you getting hit by boss mechanics in a fight and dying, or taking extra damage that requires extra healing? How many times are you getting hit by mechanics and therefore you can't do DPS? Like, all of these things factor in, and there's detailed charts that show you all of that information. So there's no question when a boss fight is over who fucked up. Like, no one can deny what happened. It's impossible. It's all just there in the logs.
It's there for it.
Yeah,
totally.
But then you end up getting into these arguments because you're like, well, our healing fucking sucks this fight. Like, there are like 4 of us doing all the healing, and it's extremely difficult to keep up with because people are getting hit with mechanics they shouldn't be. And we also have 3 other healers who are essentially doing 0 healing. So they're just taking up raid slots and taking damage. They can't even fucking heal themselves enough.
And taking gear.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with like damage dealers or with tanks who are taking too much damage because they're not using defensives at the right time. Like, every little aspect of what's going wrong in a boss fight. And when you're in a progression guild, everyone has to be extremely honest about what's happening. And once that honesty is lost and people start fucking lying, or like having little like groups and little cliques that are like, arguing with you about stuff that is true because it's in the logs, but then like someone's arguing with you because they're also trying to hook up with this person, or they're siding with somebody else because they want to get, they want to get filtered loot next or whatever. Like, it ruins the integrity of the guild. And like, I don't think there's any recovering from that.
Agreed.
So I think that's very well said. And memories are flooding back to me now. Tim, because I remember I wanted to do this then when you first told me this story, is to get you and either Toady or you and Faust to talk. Did you ever talk smack to Faust or be like, dude, you're ruining the guild? No. When was the last time? Do you remember your last interaction with Toady?
Yeah, I do.
What was it?
I was about to do some arenas, and I was doing daily quests before that though. And Toady sent me like a message, and he was like, "Hey, like, he's like, where the fuck have you been?" And for like the raids, and I was like, "Oh, I've just been super busy." And he basically like went off and talked about how I was like failing the guild, and like I had failed him, and I don't know, it wasn't great. I'd been avoiding that. I knew that conversation was coming because I had essentially ghosted him. But that's the last time. Did I tell you something else? Because that's the last time I remember talking to Toady.
No, I actually I think you may have told me that before, but I didn't remember offhand.
Yeah, I don't remember if I quit the guild or if he removed me from the guild. But yeah, it wasn't like a great ending. I mean, I have a lot of great memories with that guild, but it's, it gets emotional. Like it feels so real. I mean, it is real, it is real. And like, it's graphics, and it's a night elf, but it's like, it's real people doing real social interactions. And so there's consequences to that. Right. And so I think like, that's a lesson that I learned. And honestly, I've never like been close with a guild since then, because the stakes are so high and it takes so much out of you to really put yourself in a vulnerable position where you can, I mean, I definitely felt that way. Like, I was vulnerable with these people. Like, they, we would talk for hours every day. You put yourself out a little bit. And so when you get burned like that, it's like, you don't want to just, first of all, I don't have the emotional capacity nor the time to dedicate to a guild like that these days. But I do think they still exist, but I think they're much fewer and far between than it was back then. I think the game, like, this is a little bit of a digression, but I think back then it was so much easier to find that kind of community in a guild. Yeah. These days, everyone's so disconnected, and
I think it's more of a solo game now.
Yeah, you had to invest more.
You had to invest way more.
So, I know it sounds maybe melodramatic or whatever, but it is sort of like when you work with people and like you're having these very intense shared experiences, even if it's via this computer game. But it's like when you take down that boss for the first time, it's like you did that, and you did that with all of those people that you've been investing this time in. Like, that's a bond. That's something that you share, that like that they were all in it with you.
It's also an accomplishment, like on the server and in the community. Like people know your guild name. They might know your name. Like at the time too, like there's only a couple people from each class in each guild. Sometimes only one person from a class in a guild. And so you might be the only, like you might be walking around as a druid or a paladin or whatever and be like the only paladin that's done that content on your on your side. And like you might have an armor piece that's you're the only person with that armor piece currently in the game. Like that's
awesome.
at the time, right? Like we'll get into like the journey of World of Warcraft and the changes that have crept in over time, but like at the time that was what made the game special. And like I think what fueled a lot of people to like try to become good at the game was like having that glory, even if you only had it for a minute. Like didn't matter if it came in like PvP or PvE or whatever, like just having that glory, just a taste of it was enough to keep people going.
Truly.
Yeah. I think just to put a button on the Toady conversation, I remember at the time, and I still I wanted to get you and Toady like on this show. I wanted you two to talk again.
I wonder if Toady would remember you.
That's my goal. Of course he would.
I don't know.
Were you Sionin in that guild?
Yeah.
I would like a Sionin and Toady.
He was Canadian.
And you know what? Fuck you, Faust. That's what I'll say. That's what I'll say to Faust. You ruined something beautiful.
But
Tim Childs here pouring Tim Childs here pouring his heart out, talking about how Vendetta was a family and Toady was this great leader, and then Delilah Faust comes in there.
Look, that could never last though, dude.
Yeah.
Wow, that's bleak, man.
It's not Faust's fault, and like as much as like even I would blame like the people in those roles for their part in it all, like I mean you can't really though, dude. Like honestly, for some of them, like they don't know any better. Like they don't know how they don't know the skill level that they're supposed to bring into a raid. They're just invited in and then carried, right? So like it's really the fault of the person who's enabling that.
Yeah, no,
in that position.
Yeah, mainly Toady, but I've always the stories of Vendetta have always captivated me. So thank you for being willing to share those, Tim. On a more lighthearted note, I will share my one sort of. Well, I got a couple, but that's more for when you guys crap on me for how bad I am at the game. But which is coming up shortly. But this is from Star Wars: The Old Republic. It's not from WoW. But we had our Best Damn Nerd Show guild in WoW, and for whatever reason, I don't know how, I was the de facto guild master for the guild. So
you don't know how? I'm pretty sure like you demanded that.
I think you did.
Yeah,
probably. I was also first to max level, but I digress. No. That's not what I'm saying. I don't know how. I don't know how this happened. A member of our guild ended up with my personal cellular phone number, and his player name was Ryu. And I should have known something was up very early on, but he like wanted to talk about something like I don't know. He was like creating a storyline within the guild of like stuff that he wanted to do in the game or whatever, like creating a story and something about like another player and revealing that it was him all along or something. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know, dude. Like, I just kind of want to like play the game. But the reason why I tell this story is because he went so off the reservation and like off the deep end. He started calling my phone relentlessly when I was on vacation at the time girlfriend's parents' house. And so I had to like excuse myself for like a half an hour to like talk this guy off the ledge. And she's like, who was that? Like we're visiting my family. I had to explain to her. I was like, this member of this guild, this game. And yeah, she's like, we're visiting my family. Like, knock that shit off. Like, was so bad. And it was, I mean, listen, I ran that fucking guild straight into the ground. I mean, shout out to the cool people that were like in it and everything like that. I think Tellenroyd was I think he's on our Discord and still a listener of the show, was like really awesome guy that was in it. And there were a few more other really cool people that we interacted with, but that game really I don't know, it was kind of a failure to launch, and I think some of us that thought we were going to be playing more than we did ended up not. Yeah. But that was my
that game hit at a tough time.
That game did hit at a tough time. It really did. And but I will never forget Ryu and just all of his antics. And I think even reconnected, I believe, with Tell down the line, be like, yeah, dude, he pulled some other stuff, and like that guy was crazy. And I gave him my cell phone number. And I don't know why.
Never give them your cell phone number.
God dang, dude. Friggin' blowing up my phone. Who was that? Somebody that's playing this imaginary Star Wars game
He's listening
with
to
me.
This right now, too.
There's some guild drop. Probably is, dude. He messaged me like years later, or like at least a couple years later, like, hey, it's Ryu or something like that. And I didn't respond. I should have. But I was a little terrified. But yeah, so sorry, Ryu, if you're still listening. I appreciate your listenership. Go to freshbrewtees.com and enter the promo code FTBTBDNS1 and get your discount on Fresh Brewed Tees. Appreciate your patronage.
Isn't he on our Discord?
No, that's Riku.
Oh, okay.
Riku is awesome. And you know what? If Riku is Ryu, if that's the same person, then I take back everything I've said. But I don't think that's the case. We're going to take one more. We're going to take another break. On the other side, let's get into some more of our sort of most glorious moments in World of Warcraft, maybe some of our low points. You guys can crap on me as a player on the other side of the Best Damn Nerd Show.
Hey guys, it's the loquacious anime and manga lover Jahns here. Now, I have watched a lot of anime, and I've read an abundance of manga, so you would think that I have a pretty interesting opinion on the culture. From classics like Golden Boy and Ghost in the Shell, to masterpieces such as Psycho Pass and Gantz. Come and join me as I talk about the world of anime and manga, which has had a huge impact on my life. And who knows, whatever I talk about and recommend to you guys could become one of your favorite series.
Ammo with Jammers.
Nerdosphere, it's the microphone alchemist Bimbo Jimbo here, and we want you to be in on the conversation with us. So sound off to us in our Discord, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at the BDNS. And maybe you actually like the Star Wars prequels and sequels. Maybe you think the MCU should be a comedy open mic night on the big screen. Whatever you think, we love to feature the hottest takes from our fans on the show. So remember, if you're a nerd, always say it loud and say it proud.
Hi, I'm Mark Truex, and you may know me as the CSO of Star Labs from the Best Damn Nerd Show, and I'd like to invite you to join me and the Imperial Commissar Jeff Budd on another podcast of ours, the Ultra Monthly Podcast, a retrospective and monthly show where we dive deep into the Ultraverse, the 1990s superhero comic book universe from Malibu Comics, and we believe it's prime time. The Ultraverse got the love it always deserved. Are you an Ultraforce fan? We are too. You missed the glory of the 90s comic book boom? So do we. And are you obsessed with these Ultras? Damn right we are. And you can join us monthly as we geek out over classic characters like Prime, Mantra, Rune, and the Nightman. So jump on now to the Ultra Monthly Podcast and subscribe today on Spotify, iTunes, and everywhere podcasts are found.
Fucking Faust. I had forgotten her name. Faust.
Dude, so Omar, the guy I was telling you, the guy that got me into WoW, he had a friend that he had played with before we knew each other, this guy named John. And John, I actually met him in real life too later. John met a girl through the game that I had been flirting with through the game, this girl named Celine. She was a warlock. I used to spend hours every night talking to this fucking girl.
Warlock.
John ended up moving to Canada. He moved in with her and her parents. And I talked to him for a while he was there, and it was like this crazy situation where the parents apparently weren't aware he was coming, and he had set up his computer in like their living room, and he would talk to him on Vent and be like, dude, he's like, their parents hate me. He's like, her parents hate me, and like, yeah, I'm like set up in the living room and it's super uncomfortable. Like I can't go home right now. It was fucking crazy. He was living that dude was living a fucking crazy life. I don't know what happened to him, but like I think he got someone pregnant actually.
Can we share that on the show?
Yeah, I don't give a fuck.
Right,
say his character name and everything.
Cool. What?
He did it. He didn't tell. He didn't say don't tell.
Okay, I'm just gonna clip that and work that in.
All right.
And welcome back to the Best Damn Nerd Show.
It's the cold
James
open.
Kincaid. Yeah, absolutely. We're coming right back with an exclusive during the break story, courtesy of Tim Childs. Thank you so much for that. Also alongside Jonathan Craig, as we were talking about World of Warcraft, and I know we went a little long in the last segment. We do have a lot that we want to get to. Spoiler alert, there will probably be a part 2, 3, and beyond of World of Warcraft episodes. But I had to circle back to some things. So how I had it labeled in our rundown is, so you're running around naked in Stormwind, Chinese gold farmers, and getting hacked. Tim, John, care to discuss?
Well, so that came about because I bought gold.
Yes. Talk about that process, because I actually hadn't thought about that in a really long time.
Well, actually, Tim got banned like a year ago for buying gold.
So, no. Well, I did get banned, right? For
you
some,
did, yeah,
no, it was,
you did. And you, I remember like we were working together at the time. You bought gold. This was like 2018. You bought gold. You got banned, and then you were like, dude, what do I do? Like, it was devastating to you because now at this point, if you lose your WoW account, it's devastating because it's
like 1,000 days played.
It's like a third of your life.
Yeah,
that you've had these characters.
And how much countless amounts of money that you've spent in subscription.
But it's like all the
fees.
transmog, all the achievements, like everything.
Yeah.
And so like all that flashed before your eyes.
Yeah. I got it back though. I think
you did.
It turned out to be a 30-day suspension. They were like, don't.
You like sent a groveling email to Blizzard. They were like, this email doesn't help. It just makes you look stupid.
I would love to read that email. Can we get a transcript of that email to be read on the next episode? I would love to. Maybe. I would love to hear that.
Maybe, but so what you are referencing though happened way back in the day before gold buying was like as mainstream as it is now.
Okay, so before we get into that, though, so pause. Why is gold buying so frowned upon and a bannable offense?
Because Blizzard wants to control the money in real life.
Okay. First of all, it ruins the WoW economy.
Okay.
Because it inflates the prices of things, having gold that readily accessible.
I derailed Tim there, so go ahead, Tim. The reason, so you're running around naked in Stormwind. Go.
Well, so we didn't find my character in Stormwind. We actually found it in Elwyn Forest, and it was auto running from mob to mob, just hitting until it died, looting, and then auto running to the next mob. And so, but what led to this is that I had bought gold, and the way that this company was giving you the gold is that they would log on to your character and like farm the gold, and they'd be like, okay, how much gold do you want? And then they would estimate how much time it would take to get that gold. And I don't actually remember. So I think what happened is that I sort of like, I paid them money and I was going to go ahead with it. But then I realized that it was literally just a service that was like auto farming mobs and then like selling it to vendors. And I tried to like take my account back from the gold people, but they like locked me out of my account somehow. I don't fucking remember. It was something like that, right, John? And then we went and found them in the world, and it was just them. It was like on your account, and they were just auto running. And so we started talking shit to the gold farmer, and they started responding to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember how that got resolved, but I definitely remember seeing my characters running around like auto attacking mobs.
Dude, I definitely bought a power leveling service in vanilla.
You got to.
Yeah.
With no armor on too, so, and also these
weird.
Companies. I just remember how they were described to me by you two as the Chinese gold farmers.
The reason I knew they were Chinese is because when I was in high school, and this was like back in the vanilla days, like there was not a lot of gold in WoW. Like even to buy your mount, you would have to farm for days and days and days. And sometimes you wouldn't even have enough gold to buy your mount until like the mid 40s, like levels after like the actual level where you could potentially unlock it. Totally. When I was in high school, I don't even remember why, but I was in Eastern Plaguelands and I was like doing something and I saw this guy doing like a gold farming loop. So I was like, hey, what's up, man? And I like went up and started talking to him and he ignored me. And I was watching him play and I was like, this guy, like, this is kind of weird. I don't know. Something about his like behavior was strange to me. And so I just kept trying to talk to him. And then he responds to me in Chinese and he said hello in Chinese. And so I don't even remember like if I went and translated it or if I just tried to like speak in like more simple English terms. But like this gold farmer like started talking to me. And then I remember like for a while, I would get home from school. He had the same like schedule that he would farm gold. I would get home from school like every day, fly up to Eastern Plaguelands and like talk to this gold farmer. And then, dude, after a while, he started just sending me like a couple extra like essences or something. I don't even remember what he was farming. It was some like essence up in Eastern Plaguelands. Do you remember what it is, Tim? It was like
it's something like that though. You like kill those glutinous mobs, right?
Yep. Yeah. And it drops like little green essences that you sell for like a couple, I don't even know, gold maybe,
whatever it is. Yeah.
But he would like hit his daily quota, and like if he got lucky that day, he would just like send me one or send me two in the mail.
That's cool.
And this went on for like a few months. I was like, this is fucking awesome, dude. I have like a friend in like this Chinese gold farmer now as an adult, and just knowing like how, you know, the Chinese treat their laborers, like he probably didn't have the best life, but like, it
was a cry for help.
Yeah,
he was like, please, he's like trying to buy your help.
Yeah, well now he's making iPhones.
I thought part of the thing was like, wouldn't they hack other people's accounts? This is what happened to me. Is that like, or John, I guess your account got hacked, so that meant that my account got hacked. So another thing that this service would do is that they would hack other people's account and sell everything that they had, and then send the person that bought the gold. So that's like a big way of how you got found out, because like you have this like gold coming in from this hacked character. And so I remember when that happened to me, I was mortified because, and this is pathetic and sad, so everybody get ready to laugh, but one of my biggest accomplishments in WoW, that it was Tim and I playing together, and your guy Kincadius got Sulthraze the Lasher. And that was like one of my favorite drops that I ever had, and I was like so stoked because Tim, you were stoked, and like I very much so was still like feeding off your energy and like what was good and what was cool, and so like you were super stoked on it, so I was super stoked on it. And then when John's account got hacked, I remember like I was devastated, like all my stuff's gone. What about Sulthraze the Lasher? And like I was down in the dumps. I was bartending. And I think Ricky must have come in or something like that, and you text her to tell me that Sulthraze the Lasher has been returned, and that John's account had been restored. All the things that had been lost were restored, and that made me very happy. But yeah, I think I was guilty too of buying some gold from unforeseen.
We've all done it.
So now Blizzard has just monopolized all of those services. So like you can buy a WoW token, which is good for like a month of subscription, I think. Yeah. And you can sell that on the auction house for 200,000 gold. You can just buy leveling services. You can buy faction changes, all of it from Blizzard itself.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's all just like standard pricing. You can also still buy stuff from like Russian and Chinese websites, but
I feel like I'd still want to do that just for nostalgia's sake.
And actually the thing that people are selling now is like mythic runs of stuff, mount runs, gear runs, so you can like pay mythic guilds to like run you through some shit to get you like the ahead of the curve achievement or you know, get you some gear.
And they're clever about it too. There's no communication in game about it at all. In fact, a lot of them require you, if you like go to the websites, they'll require you to trade them the equivalency of like a WoW token in game, so that Blizzard sees gold being exchanged. They'll even list themselves in group, and you apply to that group. but everything's happening in Discord, and you're paying them real money on the outside. And then anything you give them in game, like if you give them a WoW token's worth of gold, they'll subtract that from the price. Not that I know that from experience, but that's the way that's the way this is being played.
Yeah,
dude, I'm just saying. Sometimes I get emails. They're like, the Glacial Tidestorm mount is only $30. I'm like, well, $30. I mean, it's a fucking flying whirlpool. How am I not going to pay $30 and get that? Right. You know, I did do that, by the way. Like,
wait, so you mean you pride yourself on how many mounts you have? You mean to tell me that you've come upon mounts through ill-gotten means?
Yeah, but you know one of the things about that is
you're
that
like the Barry Bonds of WoW, dude. Your accomplishments are now meaningless to me.
Yeah, but like it's I get those mounts because I know how much more difficult they're going to be to get in the future. And if I can pay $30 now and save myself a huge headache of trying, it's a mount that's cool, right? I've done it maybe for 3 or 4 mounts where you pay like a raid mount. And what happens is that like after this expansion, the raid mount's going to go down to like a 1% or less drop chance. And you got to find a group that's going to do it. You'll never get that mount basically. So if you want the mount, you pay the $30 or $50 or whatever, and you get the fucking mount. There are mounts, but that being said, those mounts do not mean nearly as much as mounts that you actually earn. Like the mounts that you grinded for, and even old mounts that you went back and again and again and again, and finally it drops. Those are the mounts that you actually give a shit about. The ones I've found this from experience, and it's like a deterrent as far as buying future mounts. It doesn't mean anything because you don't do anything. You just go there and sit.
You didn't earn it. You
don't do anything, dude. A lot of times they're like hit the boss and die, and you're like, all right, great. Like, this is fun, you know? So it's like, it's definitely not the same, dude. It's not. World of Warcraft, it's like what we were saying earlier. You have a connection with your character, and so when it feels disgenuine and you're just getting handed things, or you're getting things in a way that's not within line with the game system, it doesn't feel
it's not the same.
Good.
But in that way, though, Blizzard has done nothing but add systems that remove that connectedness to your character.
Totally.
So you can't really blame people for buying like raid runs or buying mounts or buying whatever anymore.
Yeah, totally. So they become a victim of their own sort of systems that they've put into place. All right, so I know you guys were licking your chops for this episode because I played World of Warcraft with you guys. You know, John, you got me into the game. You watched me play a lot of the game. Tim, you watched me play and tried your dangest to help me be better at the game, in your opinion. A little bit of background. You guys played on a PvP server. I think I have no regrets because I liked playing with you guys and everything, but a PvP server is not where your guy belonged. I belonged on an RP server. Kincadius is a king when it comes to RP. He is still currently logged off / kneeling facing Stormwind. I would rear my horse in the moonlight so they would create like a cool like Zorro visual effect.
Now they have an RP spell for paladins that you would love even more.
Tell me about that.
It's literally you click the button or hit the button and it just makes your character kneel and a beam of light comes out from
you
the
did
sky.
I've seen that. Yeah, that's awesome. But that was my whole thing. Is like that my favorite title that I got in game was of Stormwind, Kincadius of Stormwind. I wanted Lore Master, I didn't get it, but Stormwind was my home. Yeah. And I still stumble upon like Facebook memories, and it's like it'll pop up my status is like I'd rather be in Stormwind, and stuff like that. I was a role player on a PvP server, and I think even I had no interest in PvP whatsoever. I don't find that part of the game fun. But I know you guys found watching me try and play fun. Why was I so bad at WoW? Discuss. And I have a couple stories of my own that I can share that I don't even know if I've shared with you guys.
John and I have talked about this at length, and I think I want to say that I blame myself.
Without you in the conversation.
Yeah, without me. Great.
Yeah. No, we have talked about this. I blame myself, James, for babying you. And I blame myself for not allowing you to experience the world on your own. And
the harshness of the world.
Yeah, there was no learning curve, and so that's why you could never do anything in the game. That's why you couldn't control your character. That's why you didn't know which spells to use when. It's why you didn't know what a healing spell was versus what. It's why in the middle of a fight, you're full health and you're flash of lighting yourself. I think there's a plethora of reasons. It's why you're max level and you're upset about soul thrays. I think there's like a number of things that are sort of like playing into this, like demeanor that you had in the game, which is where you felt like you need to go to the top of a mountain and kneel to Stormwind because that's all that you had. And so I'm sorry. I'm sorry, James.
Apology not accepted.
Look,
it's ridiculous. I killed Hogger.
Yeah.
We've been nice to you this episode, James. I will say
I want more.
We can be a bit unfair at times because you started playing WoW with two guys that are like elitist snobs about the game. Like whether it's PvP or raiding, like both of us at one time or another were like sweaty tryhards. Like we were trying really hard to like be the best or in the best guild or be the best at PvP or whatever. Like I think like we did that kind of at different eras, you know. I definitely think like in Burning Crusade Tim was like a lot more progressed than I was, and I think in like vanilla I was a lot more progressed, but like either way I think Tim and I took the game very seriously at the time, and you were playing it in a completely different way that neither of us really recognized as a valid way of playing the game.
Valid way of playing the game, yes.
Yeah,
true.
Like you read quests, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I read every quest sometimes more than once just to make sure I understood my motivation for why I was doing what I was doing.
As soon as I realized
I don't regret that.
As soon as I realized that you could turn on instant quest text and just click accept and then just like have an add-on installed that just tells you exactly where to go to and like what to kill. And now you don't even need an add-on; it's just built into the game.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah, totally.
I'm a quester.
That like I feel like that sums it up. John saying James reads quest text. Serious players do not read quest text. We don't have time to read quest text. You got shit to do. If you have to do a quest, you want to do that quest and just get it done. You would read the quest. I remember you asking me all the time, well, but what's our motivation? And I'm like, dude, there is no motivation. Our motivation is to get gear and be better. Okay? Our motivation is to just like destroy shit as fast as we can.
Yeah.
Like nothing else matters.
Yeah.
Literally nothing else matters. It doesn't matter what we're killing. It just matters that we need to kill things. I remember once, dude, I got
you guys are like Conan the Barbarian. You're like, just to see your enemies driven before you and hear the lamentations of their women. I'm like, yeah, but what? Like, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember once like I fucking got you into an Ice Crown Citadel raid, and we were killing like Festergut or something. And I knew that you couldn't control your character, but I got you in because the group was kind of shitty, and I was like, maybe he'll blend in. No, you still stuck out. Like I remember Festergut like didn't move that much, but he moved like 10 feet once. So he like ran this way, and your character was just like standing like this. And I was like, dude, you got to turn around, James. You're no longer hitting you were not meleeing the boss anymore. You were just like doing like the battle stance.
Right, so mechanically, James, I would say the weakest part of your game. This isn't the only weakness. This is just I know
where
part,
this is coming. Yeah,
is like basic movement and controls. Okay, yes. So like turning, like facing things. And just general like reaction times to like when like something is behind you versus in front of you versus like to the side of you, like those things are all important. And like if something like jumps behind you or moves, like you're expected to react to that like while it's happening, not after. And definitely not like 10 seconds later.
I would like to point out that how Tim and John view me as a WoW player colors how especially John views me as a player of all other games too, which is not accurate, but it is the basis of everything because it's just what you guys observed me playing the most. And yes, I'm an RP player. I am not. You guys scarred me too. I remember. I think it was on the Old Republic. I think John. I think it was one of your friends, and you know, I think it was maybe the Republic Trooper guy. That we had gotten on the show back in the day, and he was like, "Yeah, you can come raid with us." And I was like, "No, it's okay. Like, I don't have to do that." You know, I was like Charlie, like I was like just a beaten dog. And they're like, "Dude, no, like we're really." I was like, I'm not any good. Like, like I'll just hold you guys back. And he's like, "No, we're like super chill. It'll be fine." And I remember even like apologizing like ahead of time, like preemptively, like, "Yeah, I suck. Like, I hope this isn't a problem." And he's like, "Dude, you're fine."
How did it go? Did you fulfill your role?
It went fine. Yeah, it went fine, but I mean that's what they were saying. But I do remember there was another time, and this maybe is to Tim's point of like not letting me like really experience what the game is, or like really even certain just things that because I was playing on John's computer. So Ventrilo, which is something that I had not heard of until talking about WoW with you guys. Did not know what. So I was in this group and we were doing some dungeon or something or other, and like, hey, can you like hop in vent? And I was like, I can't. And the dude was like, why can't you? I was like, it's not working. Like, what's the problem? Like, what do you mean it's not working? And so in order to get out of this just very awkward situation, because I couldn't figure out how to use fucking Ventrilo, I just started acting like my character was lagging out. So I just started running into a wall and then logged off and like hid from the game for a little while.
Which, by the way, anyone who wants you to join voice chat for a fucking dungeon is a noob anyway.
Yeah.
But it just, it was funny because, first of all, neither of you were home and I was still in your house playing World of Warcraft, which is like hilarious, like looking back on it. But yeah, I remember that being like so disappointed too, because I was like, oh, I was really looking forward to doing this. And then it's like, this guy's like asking things of me that I didn't know how to do. It's like, damn it. But, you know, I killed Hogger though. So.
I coddled you.
Something.
I coddled you. That's my fault.
Sionin and Kincadius it was, you know, the one true love story in Azeroth history. It was beautiful. I wouldn't change a thing.
I just think it's like a different perspective though. Like I don't think James even had the experience of like like walking around a major city and being like, oh my god, this dude's wearing like full this gear, and then having the like aspiration to like one day be that guy.
I definitely had like certain things that like I wanted to get
there,
but I didn't have that like intrinsic knowledge of having started from when you did, of knowing what I was even really looking at from like I knew the lore, like because I would read it, and like I knew what I wanted to do in game, like you know, just in sort of advancing the story and stuff like that, because I thought the story was so cool.
But I mean, also, you're right. Like by the time you started playing, like players were pretty good.
Yes.
You know, like when WoW first started, players fucking sucked, dude.
Yeah, totally.
Like, I mean, to show you how much players sucked, when WoW Classic came out last year, people finished Molten Core in like night one with like people still in level like early level 50s, full greens, white items. You know what I mean? Like, it's just those raids are ridiculously easy, like given how difficult fights are now. So when you take like modern players back to the old game, like it's a fucking joke. But at the time there was nothing like it. And so, you know, players had like an extremely low skill level. But by the time like Wrath of the Lich King came out, the game had been out for what, like 4.5 years, including beta, or like 5 years. So like it had a long run already, and people had a long time to like figure out how to play, and you were like jumping into that at the height of the game's snobbery too.
I'd like to just point out that I'm just as good a player as you guys, because we've been talking for like, you know, well over an hour now. Not one of you has mentioned just, you know, how beautiful the game is, like, or if they taken a peaceful stroll to Stranglethorn Vale and, you know, reflected upon, you know, what their character is doing and stuff like that. So, or had love of country or city and things. So have you two visited Uther's grave and said an actual prayer as you kneeled in front of it? I don't think you have. So
I think the sad thing is, like, we're so far removed from those feelings that like a decade or more removed from those feelings, that like you just don't feel them anymore. Like even when new expansions come out, you're like, this kind of reminds me of this old zone or whatever.
I was mortified by what Cataclysm did. That was my home. It was torn asunder.
You can still there's ways to like go back to the old world, and I will say to that point that there are places in game, like Teldrassil is a place that if I go back there, I have nostalgic feelings for it, because it's where I started, and like it's where my sense of wonder at the world first began, when I was like running to the first village and there was like a gigantic tree guardian there. And suddenly, I was telling John the other day, like a rogue, a max level, and you don't know how high these people are. You don't even know what a skull is, but if you learn later that if someone's 10 levels or more higher than you, they just appear as a skull. And this horrid rogue just showed up and started killing this tree, and I was like, oh fuck. I was like, there's a lot more out there than what I've seen so far. But I'm always gonna
tree starter area.
Yeah, but dude, like that music and that zone is always. I don't want it to ever change. I can always go back there, and I can always feel that sense of like. I mean, I remember what it was like.
I like to think that Kincadius will retire to Goldshire one day.
I have those same memories of the wetlands. Like that's where I saw my first horde. Because honestly, like getting to level 60 originally took me months, dude. Took me months. So I was leveling in wetlands for like probably 2 weeks. And one of the days I was out there grinding away, doing quests, a giant Tauren, I don't even remember what class, like a
my
warrior.
First race.
Yeah. Tauren warrior rode by on his Kodo and killed me. And I was like, what the fuck was that? Like I didn't even know what all the horde races were. So I was like, I don't know if this is like
they're disgusting.
I was like, I don't know if this is like an enemy like mob or if this is like a player, and it took me a while to realize it, and I was like, that's the craziest shit that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
But I mean, I definitely have those memories. I will say for me, Tim, like when you brought me back into the fold in Legion, and it was already like far enough into the expansion that like, you know, there was really no point in like doing a lot of like modern content at the time.
Yeah.
So I was mostly just like going back and getting like fly points and getting like explorer achievements and starting like transmog runs, doing like some of my like flight path gathering and going to like Red Ridge Mountains and stuff, like places that I hadn't been in like more than 10 years. Like leveling zones that you have no reason to go back to. I remember like the feeling, even going through in the Legion era, going back through some of those and being like, I can't believe how I feel right now, like revisiting this place. Like it feels, because I have like,
you guys are finally getting on my level.
I have actual memories of like leveling in Red Ridge Mountains originally.
Yeah. Like it's not a physical place, but it is.
Yeah,
totally is. Yeah. But agreed. Like Cataclysm did ruin a lot of that. And I mean, now the game. I know now it's a wrap, and we can get into that.
Yeah. Let's get into that. But before we move on to like the changes and where WoW is going right now, your favorite like accomplishment or thing that you've done in WoW? Me being the greatest RP player on a PvP server comes to mind. Tim, what is your favorite achievement? Maybe whether it's a title you earned or something you did. Lore Master Tim Childs, what is it for you? Is it the love of a paladin?
It's Lore Master now. That was a bullshit title. It's
fuck you, dude. Fuck you.
It was easy, you know.
Fuck you.
I don't know.
I was popping Nodos trying to get that.
I would say, like I mentioned earlier, killing Kael'thas at the time we did, and like the amount of time we had put into doing it. At that point in my life, it was one of the things that I'd probably worked hardest for, which is sad to say, but I mean, like, it's not just like the boss attempts, it's like the build up to that and everything that led to that. I think it did actually teach me a valuable life lesson about like being able to like be dedicated to something and have it like be rewarding. You know, I didn't need gear from Kael'thas. I just wanted to kill Kael'thas, and we did that, and that felt good.
John, what about you?
I think I had the same feeling killing like Nefarian for the first time in classic WoW, like being in a progression guild and finally beating this boss that was like the culmination of all these nights of progression and like weeks of struggling with like one boss and just not being able to break through the wall, and then finally you do, and then you get through like two more that night, and like you feel it's just a journey to get to that like final boss of a raid, and when you finally do, oh man, the feeling is like nothing else really. It feels so good.
Did you guys ever forgive me, I forget, is it Mythic Gear? What Frostmourne? What it wasn't called Frost. They didn't drop Frostmourne, but they
Legendary.
dropped the axe. Did you guys ever get like a tasty piece of Legendary or anything like that? Like a sweet? No.
Well, I mean, I don't think they even had any for Druid.
Yeah, and Blizzard changed. They sort of changed. Legendary what it is changed. Like back in Classic, if you had a legendary, you were a fucking a legend in the game. I mean, like a literal like people knew who you fucking were.
But only certain classes could even use them.
Yeah.
Only certain classes could use them, and so it was
that
like
axe,
you were like
could be used for Pally. I remember that.
And it was not an individual effort. Back then, having a legendary was a massive group, guild, big, like everyone is contributing to this one person getting a legendary. What it's sort of devolved into now is that everyone gets legendaries. I mean, the game in its current state is really not even worth talking about. It's so far removed from what it was. Like MMORPG.
Perfect segue, because that's what we're going to talk about.
Well, yeah, I mean, really, like it's devolved. Like you massive multiplayer, sure, but really it's like a massive single player, because like the game, you don't need to play with other people to have the best gear in the game. You can get it just by getting lucky, or just by like randomly grouping up with random fucking people you don't know and like killing a boss that's you can watch a YouTube video on, and you know it's
guild culture is dead. The idea of like that having something increases your EPing isn't really sort of a thing as much anymore, because it's
everyone gets that thing.
Yeah, it's participation trophies. It's become more casual, right?
It's become more casual, but at the other end, it's become way more extreme and hardcore and way more difficult for these guilds that are pushing the mythic bosses, like limit and method. These guys that are really on the cutting edge. These bosses are fucking insane. They're so difficult.
They're so hard
that no other guilds can even attempt them. There's like 100 guilds in the world that can ever kill these things before the massive nerds start coming, so everyone else can kill them. So on one end of the spectrum, you have the 0.1% of people that are playing this game at a level where they're probably a lot of them are being paid to play the game, and because that's the amount of time that it requires for these 20-something, 30-somethings to be able to kill this fucking ridiculously insane boss. And for everyone else, everyone just gets everything.
I mean, to back up what Tim's saying, like when he says insane, it's not like your DPS has to be ridiculous. It's like you have to be standing in the pixel perfect location. The boss fight is like 15 minutes long. Like any mistake by any individual in the group can wipe the entire raid.
Yeah.
I'd be right at home.
Even down to the final seconds of the fight. Like you're talking about high risk, high reward. Like it's an incredibly difficult task. And like Tim said, like Blizzard will do these, well, not Blizzard, but like Method will do like world first races, and like other guilds will participate and compete against them. And it's like, I mean, realistically at the highest level, there's maybe like 10 guilds.
Yeah.
So you're talking about, how many is that? 250 players.
Sure.
Competing at the highest level out of a million. And if you're not one of those 10 players, then you're second tier or lower, or not 10 players, 10 guilds, you're second tier or lower, because you're not even in the same progression league. And what Blizzard does is after week 1 of a raid dropping, they start nerfing bosses like every week, because these progression guilds like hit walls where it's like mathematically impossible to beat the boss. They'll still beat that boss. And Blizzard will be like, well, no other fucking guild is going to be able to do that, so we have to nerf it by 25%. And then, so they still did it. They don't get anything extra for having done it, except everyone recognizing that they're fucking ridiculous. And meanwhile, they're like 2 or 3 bosses ahead of you, and you're like, oh, thank God they nerfed whatever, name a boss.
It's in a way, it's become less about a community of people getting together to dedicate a bunch of time to kill a few bosses, and it's more about like people that are willing to like I'm not sure what I'm trying to say with this. It's like back then you could have people that weren't that good. Like you could make up for shitty people in your group and still kill the boss and get good gear and kind of like push content. These days that doesn't exist. There's none of that these days. There's no like middle ground. These guilds do not have, there's no weak links in these guilds. Like there's no, every single player in this guild is playing at the absolute cutting edge of their character. Like they're innovating and they're playing. They're basically like executing an algorithm to be able to kill this fucking boss. And then there's no middle ground between that and the next level, which is just random people that are like killing bosses 3 weeks in because they're in a good guild. But like really, it's filled with half shitty players. That's the truth of it. It's like everyone's pretty good these days.
So is this where you want to talk about the changes in WoW over time?
Sure, yeah.
I think a lot of this. So like we spent a lot of time talking about the early days of WoW because a lot of our show is nostalgia, and we just have a lot of fond memories. I think the key difference though is like back then, servers were like little microcosms. Like the server itself was a community. You would know players' names, you would know guild names, you would be following their progression. You would see people in like specific armor running around, and like all of these little markers got you invested in the game and like encouraged you to like try different kinds of content, try to improve your own skills, and try to like be engaged in the community. It was also like high stakes. Like if you fucked up in a raid, or if you were going around being like shitty to people, like you would be blacklisted. Like your name would spread in negative ways just as much as it would spread in positive ways. And over time they started adding features like looking for like dungeon finder, and like looking for raid, and like battle group PvP and queuing for PvP. So like your server started to matter less. And then sharding. So now like you go out into the world and you do like world quests, and like you will be in a little shard with like players from different servers doing world quests. So you're not even ever really only around players from your server. And just over time, the importance of the server has gone away, and this has encouraged this like solo play style, and it's so many different things contribute to it. I think looking for raid and looking for group is a huge part of it. I think daily quests and just the rewards that you get from doing like world quests and daily quests have done that. The Blizzard's approach to gear is completely different now than it was like back when we used to all play. Like back then, I remember, dude, people were raiding in Burning Crusade with like vanilla items.
Yeah,
and
totally.
you could finish Black Temple in Burning Crusade with like stuff that you got like in the opening raids of Burning Crusade, and same with Wrath of the Lich King. And now the item level advances so much with every like new patch, big content patch that comes out, that like your gear, like you could be a progression raider in like Uldir, which is the first raid that came out with Battle for Azeroth, and as soon as the next raid comes out, all your gear is irrelevant.
Yeah
And it's like, damn, you like you're not working for anything. Like it all, it's just you just hold it in your hand, and it's just sand.
It's like sand.
Yeah. And so then what are you left with? Well, you have transmog and mounts that you can farm, but now everyone's running around with like, everyone has, a lot of people have the great rare mounts, and they're selling shop mounts. So like, a lot of people are riding around with shop mounts too. And then everyone has like transmogged gear, which means the appearance of it, transmogging is like you can change the appearance of your items to look like another item. So what people do is they go through and farm like different old sets, so they have those appearances. So now you don't even know what people's items are that they're wearing, because you don't even see them. They look like another item. And all these like little social markers used to be really, really important parts of the game, and they're all gone now. And a lot of people are arguing that ruins the game. I think it makes it more casual friendly for guys like me or guys like Tim that like have jobs and don't have the time to like progression raid 5 nights a week. And so it feels good on some level to be able to like stay somewhat relevant, but just by logging on, doing some like daily quests. But it's hollow.
It takes away what made the game special to you guys in the first place, which is what has you even logging on now in the first place. It is a very weird catch-22, and I don't want to speak for you guys, but in listening to it, like going back to me being a shit player, if you don't take anything else away, is that I legitimately appreciate like listening to you guys talk about World of Warcraft and all of like the things that you did. It's fun for me. And I understand like the amount of time and effort and energy that it took for you guys to get those. And I think that I think that's the way it should be. I don't know. I think it's a cool environment that it created. It wasn't completely perfect, obviously, as we've also demonstrated.
Yeah.
But what a cool world that they created to give you guys some sense of achievement. And Tim, I don't know how serious you were being earlier in terms of how you were feeling, but like the fact that I think for both of us, or probably all three of us, at various points when we were low, WoW did lift our spirits. I
was dead serious, dude. It I feel like on some level it saved my life. Like, I mean, like, who knows what I actually would have done? Who fucking knows, right? But I was at a very dark place, and WoW for sure was part of getting me through it.
Yeah,
it just was.
So, and now it's a completely different place. And again, we have more casual friendly. So I don't think it's changed for the better. But what say you, John?
I don't know, dude. I'm torn. I think the game itself is just different.
Sorry, bad WoW humor.
Yeah, the game itself is it's just a different thing. Like, I know a lot of people long for like the old days of WoW, and I have a lot of fond memories of those days. But like, dude, I also have memories of like trying to gear up to do raiding in vanilla WoW and being like, I got to do Dire Maul, which was like a new set of instances that they put out. And so like, all right, it takes you 30 minutes to find a group, and then it takes everyone 20 minutes to get to the entrance of Dire Maul, and then it's a hard dungeon. So when you're in there, anything can happen. And so
gear breaks,
and it's like, and it takes like 50 minutes to complete because everyone still sucks at the game. So now let's say you're halfway through the dungeon and you're like an hour and 15 minutes into this attempt, and you've killed one boss or something, and you're struggling on like the second or third boss, and then someone in your group leaves, and then it takes you another 20 minutes to find their replacement. In that time, someone else leaves. You know what I mean? Like that's not necessarily a fun experience either, and it's only really doable for like children.
Correct. It does put an age restriction on it in a lot.
Yeah, so I think Blizzard has done a lot of this stuff to make it more accessible for like old people, and in that sense, like I'm kind of appreciative because like,
sure,
would I be able to see any of the raid content without looking for raid?
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
I mean, at the beginning of BFA, I was like pugging raids, but like, that was like one content patch.
I don't know. I think it would be cool though if the next gen got that same experience though of younger people. Like. I
mean, I think if you really, really wanted to get that serious, you could join a mythic guild and try to raid there, but I just don't think the rewards system is built into it the way it was. Like, I don't really think that there's any glory to being in a mythic guild unless all you're trying to do is use it as a stepping stone to get into like one of the top 10 progression guilds.
Yeah, exactly.
We've gone way long. We are going to pick this back up again soon, but before we go tonight, I do want to hype up Shadowlands, what your guys' excitement level is. You've been playing in the beta. What are your thoughts on Shadowlands coming out and your excitement level, Timmy?
I like logged into the beta. I don't really, honestly, I'm like a little bit disconnected from what the mechanics are and all that stuff. I mean, I have like a vague idea, and I would say my excitement level is like a 6 out of 10. BFA was really, in my opinion, one of the worst expansions of the last like few years. It's like, I can't think of. I didn't play Draenor, but that one got a lot of shit talked. This BFA to me is coming from Legion, which I had the most fun that I've had in WoW in like since like Wrath of the Lich King. I thought Legion was a fantastic expansion, and I thought it was super fun. And I think BFA is like a low point. So I'm cautiously optimistic that Shadowlands is going to bring us back. Shadowlands, I just like the story. BFA was always just like a paper thin story to me. So I'm excited just about like exploring like a new kind of like realm that's not just like so.
I don't like that they're fucking with my guy Uther. Let him rest in peace. And
no,
it looks like they're going to turn
you should be happy that Tim's referencing the story.
I am happy about that, but I don't like that they're messing with my guy Uther, who should not. I feel like they're going to turn him into the bad guy in this story. Like the cinematic I watched, he would never like vengefully, attack Arthas like that. That was his mentor. He was he would have been saddened by it. Anyway, John, what is your thoughts on Shadowlands?
I think a lot of the systems are going to be the same. I think that they have a different look and feel, but they're going back to like the legendary system from Legion and kind of, and they're doing a different take on artifact power, which is cool. I like Tim. I like the fact that they're kind of like going a little bit deeper in terms of like the World of Warcraft universe. Like it's not just going to be about like orcs versus humans anymore. It's about like other realms, which we've gotten tastes of in different raids and different like encounters, but like this will be the first time to my knowledge that we're like fully like engaged in something outside of like the Azeroth like galaxy.
Yeah.
And that to me is interesting because it like opens the door for like the future of World of Warcraft, and it feels like they're taking a step towards like, all right, this game is going to be around like indefinitely. Like games as a service, like World of Warcraft is just going to be that from now until forever. And we need to like advance the story beyond just like, the orcs and the humans are fighting each other. And BFA was a low point from a story standpoint, partially because like the entire thing was just a prelude to like this moment, essentially, which is kind of a fucking bummer. Like Sylvanas, you didn't really like understand her like motivations until now.
Yeah.
And that's stupid. Like, there's a bunch of huge events that happened on Azeroth in BFA, and you have no idea why any of them happened.
Yeah.
Until
was Sylvanas killing or attacking the Lich King? Was that for BFA?
That was for Shadowlands.
That was for Shadowlands.
Yeah, that's like the opening cinematic for Shadowlands.
But I mean, John is referencing the fact that she burned down Teldrassil. She committed genocide against the Night Elves. I mean, like she did some pretty heinous shit that feels empty because there's like it doesn't feel like there's any really motivation for it, or like
now we understand that it was all to like feed souls to the jailer to like raise their giant army of souls. But like at the time, it was like, all right, so she's like super evil. Like I don't understand.
She's double evil.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm optimistic about it. I've been playing a lot in preparation, leveling up characters and trying to figure out what I'm going to play.
What's your thought on the beta?
I haven't played the beta. I've only been playing the pre-patch event. I've been watching videos on all the different like mechanics, like anima and all the different like shit that you need to like farm and do to your character. I've watched like 4 or 5 videos on it. I have no fucking idea what any of them are talking about. Like covenants, anima, like I have no idea. I've watched several videos and I have no idea what they're talking about. So I feel like I'm gonna have to like play it and just like figure it out as I go, and I'll probably choose the wrong covenant and I'll probably be like a couple weeks behind on content at the beginning, which will just make me fall farther and farther behind because I'll lose interest. But yeah.
I'm going purely off aesthetic.
Yeah.
For the covenants. Because you get armors and all that stuff.
You get a mount.
So I'm going purely off aesthetic. And I figure eventually I'll have all the covenants anyways, just leveling other characters.
Yeah, true.
So I don't give a fuck about
that. Now, dude, I was actually thinking about that for you and your like priority in the game. The covenant system is actually badass because it gives you a reason, like rather than to just do end game content, like just farm up a bunch of alts and level their covenants because you need all those mounts.
Yeah, that's all I do anyways. I mean, I'm not going to like dedicate a bunch of time to in-game content. It's more fun to like play that kind of stuff these days.
Tim is a collector in World of Warcraft now.
Yes, very much so. Resurrect Vendetta. Well, this has been a lot of fun. We're going to revisit this. I figure I'll let you guys play it for a little while so you can formulate some thoughts on Shadowlands. So that'll be the bulk of the next episode. But there are things that we did not get to tonight that I had intended, but I legitimately just love going to Azeroth.
I want to do one of them though before we go. We can do it quick.
Okay, which one do you want to do?
I want to rank. I want to hear Tim's ranking of the expansions.
Okay,
and
so,
yours for that matter. Although I have a feeling I know what number one in your eyes.
All right,
for me,
yeah,
the
one that you played.
I'm not qualified to rank them. I was not. I'm not planning on ranking them. But yeah, John, why don't we give your rankings? Give Tim a chance to formulate his list here. But what is your rankings here? Are you going best to worst or worst to best?
I'm gonna go worst to best.
Okay.
I'm gonna put Mist of Pandaria at the worst because I bought that game. I played it for like a day and I was like, fuck this shit, and I stopped.
It was the nail in the coffin for me. Like like the hype for that was not. It completely missed me, and like I was like, no, I'm done. I'm done with WoW now.
I'll put Warlords of Draenor above that. Although I have a feeling if I was active in WoW at the time, I would have maybe enjoyed it because it had a lot of nods to Burning Crusade. Above that, I'll put Cataclysm. I thought Cataclysm was. I really did not like Cataclysm as an expansion, and I think Mist of Pandaria, like me quitting during Mist, was just because I didn't like Cataclysm. Honestly, like I think it ruined Azeroth, for a stupid reason, and I is that where they added looking for raid, Tim?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I just feel like, I don't know, dude. That's where I just really started to feel disconnected from the game.
Yeah.
Above that, I would put Battle for Azeroth and then Legion. I actually really enjoyed Legion. Tim brought me back into the fold during that, and I really, really enjoyed the end of it. And then top three.
It's interesting because you guys both said that Battle for Azeroth was kind of a low point, but it's not at the bottom of your list, John. I'm glad that you had
I've enjoyed
BFA,
but for different reasons. Like I've been mostly just doing like old transmog stuff and collecting as well on my paladin. Top three, shit, man. I'm gonna go Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, and then Classic WoW. Because
I expected Burning Crusade to be higher than Wrath.
I mean, Burning Crusade was awesome, but I feel like Wrath. Dude, I don't know. Just we were all of us as a friend group. We were at like full clip during that.
Yeah,
I wasn't like taking the game as seriously at that point, so I was able to like enjoy certain aspects of it more than I had in the past. I was still raiding, but doing it more casually, which was really, really fun. And Burning Crusade was fucking awesome. Don't get me wrong. Great expansion.
You can tell me if I'm talking out of school here, but it does feel like to me that WoW was sort of at its peak, sort of like visibility wise, pop culture wise, in terms of crossover, and was Wrath. Like Wrath of the Lich King, I think was sort of like when it like really was everywhere.
Yes,
you know,
definitely.
Arthas has always been like the sexy villain, right? Like he's always been the guy.
Yeah.
Like besides like Illidan, who was kind of
they almost got to him too early too.
Yeah,
because
that's why they're bringing him back. Yeah.
All right, Tim, rank your WoW expansions worst to best.
Okay. I would put Mists of Pandaria last, and I would do that. I also didn't play it as much like John. I played it more than John, but not very much. And I also think it's also like the outlier on this list. It kind of is like the one that's out of place. It seems like it's like a random digression from the rest of these, and not in a good way. I would put. I'd put Draenor next. I also didn't play that one as much, probably because it followed Pandaria, and I had low expectations for it. I came in super late on that one. I came in right before Legion, and then I would put Battle for Azeroth next. I did not enjoy this expansion. But they slowed down gameplay, and it just was a weak follow up to an amazing expansion. Next, I would put. Cataclysm. I would put Cataclysm next. I enjoyed Cataclysm, but I didn't really connect with it. Deathwing was never really that compelling of a character to me, and yeah, I was not like a huge fan of like the revamping of the world and the destruction of it and all that. After that, I would put. What are we down to here? Oh, okay. So I have Legion, Wrath, Burning Crusade, and Classic. I would probably put. Fuck, I loved Legion, but I would probably put Legion next as fourth. That's only because Wrath, Burning Crusade, and Classic. I would probably put Classic next because Classic to me, I wasn't like John. I didn't raid super hardcore in it, so I didn't have that connection. Wrath, I would put next. I love that expansion. We all played it. That was just a fucking great expansion. And Burning Crusade, I would have to put first. It's like I loved that world. I loved Outland, and it's the most time I've ever put into any video game or anything in life, really.
Burning Crusade was such a great expansion.
It's a great expansion.
Such a great
expansion.
Really is. I mean, that's when they first introduced flying.
Yeah, so much. They like took World of Warcraft Classic to me, and they just kind of like it was still the same game, and they just put it a little bit. They just amped it up a little bit.
Yeah. I remember that feeling of playing Burning Crusade on like release night.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah, dude.
Like more than any other expansion. Like I remember like the servers lagging. I remember like the first quests in the area, like Honor Hold, having to go out and collect like scrap metal and shit next to Honor Hold, and like struggling to get enough of it because it wasn't spawning back quick enough. And oh god, what a
dude, do you remember on Nerzul, the very first worldwide hunter was named like Ella something, but he got a card made after him, a trading card, because he was the very first worldwide person to level 70, and he was on Nerzul. I remember I saw him. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot more that we can explore with World of Warcraft. I mean, we didn't even get into any of my notes about the lore and how awesome it is. So we're gonna have to come on back to Azeroth again at some point very soon. But yeah, I'm gonna let you guys play it so you can report back on what you think about it. But this was a lot of fun. That is going to do it for this edition of the Best Damn Nerd Show. Have a great week, everyone. Toady, if you hear my voice, reach out to us, bestdamnnerdshow.com/Discord. We have unfinished business with Cianan. Fuck you, Faust. That is going to do it for us this week. Have a great week, everybody. And remember, if you're a nerd, always say it loud and say it proud. Lose my number, Ryu.
Hey, everyone. Chris Seglia, CEO of the Tenno Media Network here. Thank you so much for listening to our content, but we need your help. Please rate us 5 stars, subscribe, and give us a shining review wherever you listen to this podcast. It really, really helps us out. And one more thing, please tell a friend if you can. Tell them Tasty Steve, Hanzo Gonzo, Markman, Rip, Ricky Replay, or someone who everyone loves sent you or something. That might help. Anyway, again, thank you for listening. And if you want more, make sure to check us out at www.ten-o.gg, www.tenno.gg.